Hey, this is Dave. Before we get started here with the replay of the Three Gun Show Live presented by Grunt Style at the Jeff Kirkwold Memorial Match, I want to give a little love to the sponsors of this great match and urge you to consider them when making your next purchase. JP Rifles, Grunt Style, ORM Tech Ammunition, Freedom Munitions and Extreme Bullets, Brotherhood Arms, X Steel Targets, Gunfighter Targets, Hawkeye Ordnance, Weber Tactical, Dunaway, Hornady Manufacturing, Obsidian Arms, Shooter Source, Vortex Optics, Hyperfire, Federal Premium Ammunition, Arms and Arms, APF Armory, Nordic Components, XLR Industries, Atlas Target Works, CMC Triggers, Lakes Trading Company, A&S Engineering, and Gun Goddess. Thank you all for supporting this great match from the Three Gun Show. We appreciate you. And I encourage all you listening to, again, consider them when making a purchase. Now, enjoy the Grunt Style 3-Gun Show live at the 2017 JP Enterprises Jeff Kirkwold Memorial Match. Welcome, everybody, to the Three Gun Show. This is a live edition of the Jeff Kirkwold Memorial Match. How's everyone doing? I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and here with me is Ryan Muckenern and Adam Maxwell. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome, Dave.
Living the dream.
Very cool. So we are getting ready to get underway with our round 2 of the shoot-off here. And before we get started, guys, this is a special match for you guys local, and for many different reasons, and I'd like for you to fill us in on what the match is here for and what we're doing today. Take it away, Adam.
I was hoping Ryan would do it.
Well,
the namesake of the match is our friend Jeff Kirkwold. He passed away at a very young age of 32, I believe,
34.
from a brain aneurysm.
34.
34? Dang, I can't count good. But he passed away very suddenly of a brain aneurysm 5 years ago. And in the follow-up of that, you know, there's many emotional things that happened. But one of the things we decided to do was to hold a match in his honor, to keep the memory alive and celebrate the life of our friend who loved nothing more than shooting anything that would react to being hit with a bullet, live or dead. So we did one really early in the spring.
Yeah.
And then it's been every third weekend of August since then. We've done this event. It's gotten bigger and bigger every year, and we're super stoked to add this element to it this year.
It's pretty fun.
With episode 116, 117, you were doing down at the Texas Three Gun Nation match. We kind of had live commentary going on, and I thought that would be a really good addition to this match to make it a bit more of an event. So we're super excited that you'd be here, and we're gonna do some live commentary to kind of spice up this bracket. Otherwise, it gets kind of dull, just bout after bout after bout. So,
well, I'm pumped to be here, and Ryan and I are going to do our best to make this entertaining for everyone, and happy to celebrate the life of your friend with you.
Yeah, and when we were initially talking about it, Dave said he would do it, but he said he needed someone to talk to, and I was like, oh, don't you worry. I have someone for you to talk to.
The guy that hasn't said a word the entire time we've been up here?
You know, he's saving it.
I'm getting ready to release. It's going to be fantastic.
It's like drawing a bow back.
That's right. Correct.
Yep.
I got jokes,
He's at full draw right now, just waiting for the broadside shot. So
I got jokes.
He's got jokes.
Good times. Well, we've got some pretty good matchups going today, and we've already done one round of shooting so far as well. Any upsets that you've seen, or any dark horses that are starting to show?
I don't know, man. The field gets so much deeper every year that the distance between the dark horses and the favorites is getting smaller and smaller. So I would say all the favorites to win or that have won in the past are still alive, but one of the things we do, you're never never really out in the first round. We start a whole nother bracket. So everybody who got knocked out in the first round, they're going over to Bay 2 right now, and they're going to slug it out on their own in another shoot-off. So there's plenty of shooting yet to be done here today, regardless of how you finished in round 1.
And it's a pretty cool format for the match. 5 stages the first day, and based on where you finished in those stages, seeds you in a bracket for the second day. We've got a giant bracket over there being run by Tiffany Overland, and thank God, because that looks confusing. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, the second time we did this, that we actually made a huge bracket and we were going to make it a 2-day event. I think, how late did we stay up that night?
Oh my gosh,
it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
But we were trying to figure out how we were going to make this massive bracket out of 87 people, which of course does not work in a bracket. So, and we were just tired as all get out, and we tried to figure it out, and we were piecing it all together and getting ready to go on Sunday. And Tiffany was new to the scene then, and her daughter Dakota, that was her first year shooting. And Tiffany was one of those people who came up to me and was like, "Hey, if you need help with anything, just let me know. Just let me know." And I was like, "All right, yeah, whatever." And she happened to be standing within arm's reach when I was looking at that paper bracket that we'd drawn
on a notebook.
On a notebook.
Oh man.
And I was like, "Hey, do you really want a job?" And she said yes. And I was like, "All right, could you run this?" And she looked at it, like, "Yeah, I can do that." And she, of course, hit it out of the park and has been running the brackets ever since. So she's a victim of her own success, and she gets better at it every year.
Yes.
So
It's like doing the dishes. You want to screw them up the first time, so you don't want to get asked to do it again.
Right, and that's where she went wrong. So
As she's over there doing brackets, not listening.
yeah, she's bracketing.
Thank you,
bracketing
Mrs.
as
Overland.
she speaks. She is the most important person on the whole range because she runs the brackets.
Right. Controls
right.
our fate.
Yeah, she literally holds your fate in her hands.
Yes.
Well, let's describe the course of fire for the folks listening at home who will be listening to the rebroadcast of this on the 3-Gun Show. This is it's a shoot-off format, ends in stop plates falling on each other, but it starts out a little bit different than I've seen in a lot of stages.
All right, yeah, we start off with we have both shooters standing with one foot in a box, and we start with them. Oh, there comes the rain.
Here comes the rain.
There it is. You knew it was going to happen. You knew it. Yeah, we start with both shooters in the box, and we have them touching fists. So they can't hold on to each other, but they can feel each other's essence. And if one of them decides to check out early, then the other guy has a hint that maybe it's time for him to go too, and see if they're going to get stopped for a false start.
So what do you do if a guy does start to check out a little bit early like that?
Well, as an RO, I try to let him fall on his face because that's always funny. But if they leave too soon, we're going to start them again.
You bring him back?
Yeah. But then they go right into a pistol array, an array of, what is it, 8 by 8 inch flip down targets by gunfighter targets.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they neutralize 8 pistol targets. And then there's a plate rack at approximately 70, 75 yards, six I believe 10-inch plates with the rifle. And then they move into 6 4x10s flip downs with the shotgun. And then there's an overlapping stop plate that they finish with the shotgun. We finish with the shotgun because that's a mid-range target and we can't skip bullets off our floor. So we always finish with the shotguns because this is Minnesota and we love shotguns.
That is correct.
Totally makes sense to me. So these are all targets supplied by Gunfighter Targets, right?
Yes, everything on the shoot-off bay today was made and provided by Gunfighter Targets. They're all brand new, never been shot before today. With the exception of the racks. The racks are from last year. He refurbishes them for us every year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we've got our first matchup making their way to the shooters area.
Yes.
We've got Jake Latola and Daniel May.
Yes.
You know, you were talking about a dark horse, and Daniel May is one I like to call the dark horse.
He sure is.
He's pretty funny. Very humble guy. Comes out of state here, shows up to the match, shoots very well. Thanks everybody, and then heads on home. Super quiet guy. Jake is a local favorite too. Another 3-gun hero. This will be a pretty cool bout.
Yep. Jake has won the whole match before. He's always a heavy favorite to win at any of the local stuff that he shows up to here. He's currently behind in the Minnesota 3-gun group points race, but he's got a gap that he can make up pretty fast. So he was the winner of the qualifying rounds yesterday, and he came through the first round of eliminations pretty much unscathed. So
he's choosing a nice balancing act for his rifle there. Let's run it on the ragged edge and hope it holds, I guess.
yes.
And Daniel kind of doing the same. Got it propped up on the back of the box there. One thing I found of shooting a shorter rifle this year is it's not heavy enough on the front end to do that. It just sort of flips right out.
I thought about getting out my long rifle and use all 14 and a half inches to maybe hold the box hold it in the box and get that grip a little bit closer to the top. But I still wanted to shoot the SBR with my Huey on it. So
There's a spectacular debate too about what's better, short or long.
Right.
And
really, I'm in it for the Instagram comments. So so just trying to pull the pin on grenades and throw
All
them
right,
in the ring.
competitors shake hands here.
Here we go.
Fists are touching. And they're off. Pistol first.
I'm glad
Jake
that
has
plate
a
fell
malfunction.
over in one shot because they had me readjust that one.
So
That one that I had trouble with?
Yes, that one.
into the rifle, right
Back up to the rifle.
Tola takes that
Couple
count.
makeups on the
Cole's
rifle.
about 4 plates ahead on the rifle.
And Jake leaves it.
Yep. All right, and Jake takes that one.
That's
Did
good
Jake
for
have
Four
a-
plates or so.
That's pretty typical of what we expect of Mr. Latola.
Right. Did Jake have a malfunction
He
there?
did.
with
He had a
the
pistol malfunction
Right.
after that first round.
So Dan had a commanding lead, too, with the pistol right off the bat
Yeah.
because of Jake's malfunction there. But
I do know Jake has been fighting some ammo issues with that pistol. Not particularly tight. We're not really sure what it is, if it's gun or ammo, but he's been trying a lot of different loads lately. So I'm sure he's going to spreadsheet on that later.
I'm certain he does.
He's an engineer. He likes spreadsheets.
He
A
loves
lot.
spreadsheets. Plans his bagels around spreadsheets.
Right.
And as we go to reset here, the gunshots you're hearing in the background is the Hyperfire side stage.
Yes.
Hyperfire side stage has kind of an interesting thing. What do we have, like 10 plates, 10 steel plates, 10 rounds, 65 yards, something like that?
It's 35 yards.
It seemed a lot farther away.
Oh, no.
So
They're-
35 yards, 10
yeah.
rounds,
Yep.
Virginia count. You got a Vortex Huey on top, which is kind of fun.
Yep.
And the rifles are supplied, the ammo is supplied, $5 per round. And the money goes to support Task Force Dagger. And fastest time of the entire match gets to take home one of those rifles.
Yep, Hyperfire custom built 2 rifles, showcasing some of their flagship products, and one of those rifles is being given away to whoever shoots that row of plates the fastest. But the other one's actually going to whoever does the most social media this weekend. That was another contest we were running. We got hashtag Hyperfire going on, and whoever cranks out the most content using that hashtag is going to win a $2,500 rifle, free of charge.
Yeah, if we're going by reach, I think you just won it with mentioning hashtag Hyperfire on the show.
Right?
Oh,
Well played.
Pow.
controversial.
Wow. Too bad I'm not eligible to win.
Tuned up here, Alex, Katie, and Joe Frechette, couple of local heroes again.
Each powerhouse in their own right.
Indeed.
Joe does a lot for us here at Hawkeye Ignite, put in a lot of work this weekend.
Pretty evenly matched through the pistol.
Yep. Now they go to their
Right
rifle.
into the
Head to head
rifles.
into the rifle.
Both of them are taking a knee for support off the box.
Alex pulling away the rifle here, right into the shotgun.
Joe having some trouble settling into the rifle, and Alex ran away with it.
Yeah, I think Alex had his whole plate rack down when Joe was only one in there.
Alex typically does pretty well at these matches, so we expect to see him for a few rounds yet. Current leader in the law enforcement division. That's early enough we can say that.
Right.
Now, Alex Strange and Bob Maynard, fun fact, both working for Vista Outdoors.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. So they know all about the ammos.
They're going to take this to the water cooler tomorrow morning.
Yeah, right.
No doubt.
Yep. There's going to be some heated emails.
Rumble on the range
Monday morning.
and in the parking lot.
Lots of memos.
Yeah.
TPS reports.
You beat me to it.
Someone's stapler is getting stolen, that's for sure.
Adam, how many shooters did we have go through the match this weekend?
That's an excellent question, David, and I do not know. I think it was something to the tune of, I want to say 84 in practical and 5 in unlimited, something like that. We had a lot of shrink in the last week. A lot of folks seemed to think they had other things to do.
Pulled out at the last minute.
Yeah,
Probably saw that it was going to rain a lot of the time.
I got family, I got kids. Yeah, I think some of them Tischhausered out when they heard it was going to be rain. Tischhauser himself is sipping a pina colada somewhere
No doubt.
now. He backed out. Rob Tate, our winner last year, he had some sort of wedding thing he claimed to have to do. So that'll be good for about a year.
Always catch the second wedding.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
With the number of shooters you have going through the shoot-off here, it's cycling over pretty quick. We got our next bout up right now.
Yeah.
Both of them off.
Alex is a powerhouse USPSA shooter, so
Alex is done with the pistol before.
Into the rifle already.
gets the jump into the rifle.
Yep.
Couple extra makeup shots.
Alex is off the rifle plate and picks up his shotgun, taking his time.
Nice finish for Alex Strange there.
Yep, Alex takes the win over Bob by about 5 or 6 plates.
Coasting into the next round.
Cool part about
We
shoot
definitely
off a man v man is it's anybody's game too, and we've had a couple of very fun upsets over the years. Be it a missed reload or
Yeah, we watch it turn on a dime pretty fast.
yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've heard from a lot of the guys that have shot in the Three Gun Nation series over the years is always finish your array. Because you never know what's going to happen to the other guy. He could be tearing in there and have just a massive malfunction in his shotgun. And if you gave up and just kind of put your guns down, you've got no chance.
For sure. For sure, yeah.
I believe that happened to me on the first shoot-off of the first JKM match when I got a little throttly in my in my shotgun, and it was no good. I ended up overshooting a plate, missing a reload. That was the end of it. I lost that shoot-off first round.
Yeah, it's like you said. There's so many different variables going into it. You never know who's going to come out on top.
All right, so we got Nick Hartig and Dave Adolfson. Nick Hartig is a veteran of the Three Gun Nation Pro Series. He comes out of South Dakota, and when he shows up, he's a heavy favorite to win as well. Can really throw down if he wants to. And Dave Adolfson, formerly of JP Rifles, our title sponsor here. He is on the other side. He's the guy who actually made those cool new trigger guards for your Benelli shotgun that everybody's playing.
Oh, is that the A&S Engineering?
Yes.
Alex Strange, that makes sense.
Dave A goes back in the Minnesota three-gun history quite a ways. He was one of those guys that was always at the local matches when we first really started rolling in 2009, 2010, or at least when I jumped into it, and he was always up towards the top of the list and then kind of had a hiatus for a while, and it's always cool to see him back wearing his signature hat.
Do you call that an Indiana Jones hat?
I call it a Dave A hat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yay, we get a little
we
tip
are.
of the hat from Dave.
I would call it a lucky hat.
Turns out they can hear us.
He's a very tall man, so for those who can't see him, he's about 8.5 feet tall.
Can't even see the plates over his head.
The hat is somewhere between 20 and 22 gallons.
Ruben and I were talking about hats this morning. We both wanted to wear a new hat, but then we're like, no, man, you got to go with the lucky hat. So
That's right, just like baseball.
yeah, you get one that works. You can't retire it.
The beep and they're off. Plate for plate so far in the pistol array. Nick takes a short lead. Nick is eating the rifle rack apart.
Nick's having some problems with that last
Stalls on
plate.
the last plate.
Goes up to a shotgun first and takes the match.
There it is. That was a nice matchup.
So Nick Hartig advances. You know, with this format, your guns are all three in the same place. Obviously, you start out with your pistol, so it's in a holster.
Yep.
Makes it a little bit different because there's only a few steps to that bucket, and you can draw your pistol, so you can be ready to shoot as you come into the little shooting area there.
Absolutely.
Some time to be saved there, and you're talking short transitions because you don't have to set your gun down and run to the next box. You just set it down and pick it right up.
Yep, we're kind of limited in width in this bay, so we keep it all in one spot just because we don't have a whole lot of room. And this year, you know, in the past we've had shooting boxes out of concern, people drawing too early or pistols falling out of holsters, whatnot. And this year we decided to just go a little bit more big boy rules, and once it's live, you can pull that thing out whenever you want. But once you pull it out, you got all the consequences of having a live gun.
I'm really hoping to see somebody do some hero stuff and start engaging off of the start box.
Well, Paul Walmuth could definitely do that. He is a heavy-duty USPSA shooter in his own right. Kind of a Cinderella story this season, coming out of nowhere and just started winning matches. Did really well with the tri-gun. Always a threat when he's on the range.
Facing off Paul Walmuth and our friend Brad Norton of Atlas Target Works, another South Dakota boy.
And a sponsor of the match.
Yes. Also a pretty handsome young lad.
Especially from behind.
Yes.
That's my favorite side of him.
Looks like he's wearing Cool Pants, KUHL, popular in mountaineering. Maybe they're 511s. Hard to say.
Paul Walmuth also under the employ of JP Rifles, our sponsor, our title sponsor of the match. He is a member of the engineering department.
Oh, right off the gate, he just started hammering it.
Had to come back, clean up a little slop.
Oh, they're even going into the rifle.
Head-to-head going into the rifle.
Paul's got to lead into the shotgun. And he is eating those plates and drops it. There it is.
Looked like Paul got a gimme on one of those plates on the rack out there.
That particular rack has had some sympathy falls for sure today. They were calibrating it between bouts here, and sometimes that's just the way plate racks go, especially with rifles, because rifles are so dynamic when they hit the plates.
Mm-hmm. Dynamic and adaptive.
Not so much adaptive. They're pretty rigid in how they are. They're more like cats. They just kind of do what they want.
That was a fantastic analogy, Adam.
So as they reset here, we've got James Leffler coming up and Sean Wheeler.
James, also an employee of
JP Rifles. He's the one who ensures the quality of your JP firearm before you get it.
So you know it's good.
Yes. He makes sure that comp blending is just right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice and polished and all that.
And then I believe Sean Wheeler is a rifle builder in his own right with Patriot Weaponry in South Dakota. His rifles have been kind of sneaking on the scene here too.
We've got the community here in Minnesota with the three-gun crowd is very heavily influenced by the arms and accessories industries. We've got a lot of local big names here from formerly DPMS anyways. They've moved now, but JP Rifles, Nordic Components, Obsidian Arms, heavy industry in the area, and it's really cool to see all these factory shooters come out and play guns with us.
Yeah, or either that or it's like the third level of three-gun obsession, and it just consumes your life, and you derail your career and enter the firearms
Most
industry.
of your relationships.
Yeah. That's kind of the route that I went.
Is there any other life?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
They tell me there's other things,
No,
but I haven't
wrong.
found them.
They're wrong.
Both competitors here looking really serious and both kind of gingery.
I got nothing.
Firing simultaneously at the pistol. All right. Mr. Wheeler's a couple plates up.
James puts his
transitions
pistol down
right.
first, but
My
it's pretty
goodness.
even going into the rifle array.
settling up on his rifle, which is an Iron Man 2.0 theme.
Yeah. All right, James done with the rifle rig.
Ooh, almost went home early.
Mr. Wheeler takes that.
Yeah,
out.
came up from behind on the shotgun there.
Yeah. Iron Man rifle almost missed the box there, and that kind of dazed James a little bit and went over the top on some of his shotgun shots there.
Yep. So what's the smart move there? We've got a giant dump bucket. Why put it back in the box?
I wish I knew. I don't know. I think it's the easy option is right in front of you, but it has carpet on it, so your gun doesn't slide in there super nice. And sometimes it gets tangled. I know I DQ'd earlier this season at a club match here because the gun did not fall into the bottom of the box as fast as I would like, and decided to triple deke and fall on the gravel instead.
And these are the I guess traditional 3-gun nation-y start boxes, and I consider them a start box only. Not a very good place to stow a gun.
Typically, I don't like to use them. Yeah, I mean, my leaning towards the 3-gun nation style of stages has led us to use more of the trash can style dump buckets, and they're always in stock at Home Depot, which is nice. When we can't have nice things and people destroy them, so we've been seeing more of them in the Ignite series this year, and they stack so nice in a Connex box.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. You don't even know,
dozen
Dave.
of them in there. So we've got Josh Tweet coming up against Joseph Rule.
Josh, another heavy hitter from South Dakota.
And Joe Rule, he's coming on. He's one of our ROs as well. He puts a lot of work in on the Wednesday nights and the club matches. These guys fairly new to the 3-gun scene here in Minnesota, but they have been coming on really strong here.
All right, as these guys come into the start box here. Into the first pistol array. Josh is down first. Coming in even on the rifle array.
Josh destroys that rifle rack.
Yeah, killed it. Into the shotgun first, and he's just taking his time and getting those hits.
All right, well, I think I'm coming up here pretty soon, so I'm going to bail on you two, so you two behave.
All right, well, Adam, thanks for joining us.
Request?
Kate Arnson would like to see Freilich go against whoever wins the overall for bragging rights.
Why are you talking
I
to us
mean,
when we're on the air?
I have absolutely no problem
not even on a
embarrassing
mic.
Josh.
You're not even on a mic. Are you a rookie or what? Come on.
The request has been made for the winner of the practical division to go up against the apparently assumed winner of the unlimited division. That's still to be determined. So if Mr. Freilich doesn't hold it down in unlimited, he's going to have to concede to whoever does. But yeah, we can do grudge match unlimited versus practical. I don't see a problem with that.
So coming up now, Ruben Alexson of Vortex Optics, my coworker and friend, and Ben Oliver, another local.
Also one of the prize table coordinators of the match.
Adam, thanks for hanging with us, man. Good luck out there.
Shoot fast, take chances. Ruben and I, before we worked at Vortex together, he and I did a lot of 3-gun shooting, and it's been fun. You know, he's gone really hard into it over the past couple of years, and I've tailed off quite a bit, and he's become quite an unstoppable force. He's very, very, very handy with a gun, especially a shotgun. He can soak up a lot of recoil, and his target transitions are just flawless. So watching him shoot a shotgun is always a hoot for me. You know, prior to working at Vortex, I worked for Nordic Components, and shotguns were our thing. You know, and
that was your bag, huh?
Yeah, that was it. And so we were big and heavy into the Nordic Tactical Shotgun match, and that's actually where I first met Ruben. I think it was probably circa 2011 or so, back when I was still shooting pump gun, and it's been cool to see him go. He really, really, really has come on hard as a serious competitor and you know, contender for anybody he's going to face off against. Heck of a beard too.
More hair every time I see that guy. He's put on like 4 pounds of hair in the last couple of weeks.
I don't know how he does it because I think he shaved yesterday, and it's got to be at least 7 to 8 inches long.
Getting those shots off almost simultaneously. Looks like Ben's just a little bit ahead on the rack here. And Ruben's coming back into it. Ben's down to his rifle first.
Yep.
And Ruben clears that plate rack first. Yep. He moves on to his shotgun.
Ruben takes a commanding lead into the shotgun and finishes the bout ahead.
Yep.
Nice shooting, good buddy.
All right, so Ruben takes that one, and we have a new guest here, Ryan. This is John Paul of JP Rifles. John, how you doing?
Great. Good to be here.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, John.
Right.
I want to thank you for sponsoring this great match and supporting the shooting sports as always.
Well, we like to put as much effort as possible behind it, and in particular, like to get as many of the youth into this sport because that is the future.
Absolutely, and we've got a couple of young people out here shooting this match this time around. It's going to be fun to watch them in the shoot-off here.
You bet. Man-on-man shoot-offs are unique and kind of the pressure that they put on you.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned my lesson many, many years ago at the American Handgunner World Shoot-Off. That was in Montrose. There was a match they were running every year, and it was nothing but man-on-man. The whole match was man-on-man. And I made it. I was shooting revolver one year, and I made it into the final bouts. And, of course, they had huge crowds on TV, and the pressure was immense. And I figured I had to just focus down as tight as possible to be able to get beyond that pressure.
Right.
And I focused a little bit too tight as I shot across, and I saw my opponent's stop plate go down just before I was ready to break my shot. And I did not make that. I just unloaded, showed cleared, holstered, and then I heard the RO say, double fault. And I said, what is he talking about, double fault? And my mind had recorded it. I just couldn't see it.
Right.
And so as I'm walking off, and the whole crowd's silent, and they're looking at me like I had leprosy. And this one old guy looks at me and says, boy, don't you ever stop shooting. And then it dawned on me that he'd left a plate up.
Oh.
And I would have made it into the final bout, you know?
Right.
So that was a lesson to be learned.
So this
Never stop shooting.
Never stop shooting. I love it.
This head-to-head here, Nathan Payne and Mike O'Brien here. Nathan and Michael, both local guys again, and Nathan, one of the top competitors in the state here. Whole family, the Payne tradition of kicking butt with 3 guns lives on.
Nathan had a great match at the Rocky Mountain, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Division. Yep.
Had great showing by father and sons at that match. Nathan with a limited division win.
Right. And Brian, one of our great employees in our rifle production division. So,
all right, and these guys line up. I like how this match starts with a fist bump.
Yes.
It's good.
We're all friends at first.
We are, at first. And then the pistols come out.
Nathan cleans the pistol array right off the bat, and he's into the rifle.
Michael's coming off the pistol array himself and picks up his rifle.
Only 2 makeup shots on the rifle for Nathan. He's into the shotgun already and just cleaning house. His stop plate falls.
yeah, really the trick to this is to not try to press yourself just that little bit faster than your envelope, because then the whole thing is coming apart.
And Nathan takes that one, moves on.
Yeah, over the years, I've seen lesser shooters take better shooters many times just because they had the psych right.
Yes,
You know?
yes. Yeah, both these guys, and I did the exact same thing when I was up there earlier. I went out the first round, but it gets so excited that there's like 5 or 6 shots at that first plate before it goes down.
Right. Just get back in your envelope and sight, picture, press.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing how many rifles seem to become unsighted in.
Right. Another thing that enters into the picture here, a fine point, is I suspect that most of these guys are running 200-yard zeros on their rifle.
Yeah.
And that puts them just about 1.5 inches to 2 inches high at this distance. And so you'll see a lot of misses are just over the top of the plate because they don't start thinking about
Interesting,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I went back to my precision zero, 100-yard zero, and then all that went away for me.
Another good face-off here between Tyler Schwark and Cole Weick.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a 70-yard plate rack here. And one Josh Freilich actually re-zeroed his rifle for 70 yards even before coming out today.
It's a bold strategy.
Well, it makes complete sense to me.
It does. Well, especially considering the the rest of the match. There was it was a fast bay match, right? So there's not a long range. Don't have to learn new holds or anything.
Yeah, when I started getting into the long-range precision stuff, it kind of changed my whole attitude about how I treat the rifle for this game, too.
Oh, it did?
It did, yeah.
How so?
Well, like I said, I used to run a 200-yard zero, and after getting into the long-range precision, then I really, my opinion of the rifle came really as more as a precision instrument, and looking at those holds for everything, I'm never missing a shot.
Watch it. Pretty evenly matched the pistol. Cole pulls ahead, it looks like.
Tyler's having a
tied up
jam in his pistol, had to go to a second magazine.
Cole looks like he's having a little bit of a struggle with the rifle, though. I think he's shooting limited class here.
Cole finishes that plate rack, moves on to his shotgun.
Nice even bout. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Cole moves on that one, and unfortunately Tyler had some pistol malfunctions there that put him quite behind.
Again, anybody's game in man v man, which is what's so fun about it.
Anything can happen.
Well, John, what are some of the other things that you've learned from getting into the precision rifle game that we three gunners can learn from?
Well, one thing in all forms of practical shooting, whether it's 3-gun or USPSA pistol or this, the new PRS or, long-range I call it long-range practical shooting because it's to differentiate it from high power. I think that if you're the kind of person who has a problem making a complete ass of yourself in front of other people, then these are not your games. So that's the first thing you got to get beyond. You got to be able to make a complete fool of yourself and just not let it bother you, because that's the only way you're going to press pass and learn.
That's true.
And I've made a fool out of myself many times.
You got a lot of reps on that, huh?
Right.
Getting a little rain to come down now here. Our next bout is between Robert Gale and Trevor Armbruster.
Yeah, I started this back when at its very inception, really, at the Soldier of Fortune World Championship out of Las Vegas, and when I started doing that, that was the game for me. Was the adrenaline junkie, of course, plus the complexity of getting 3 guns and all the support gear in there. And of course, if you remember that all at those stages it was all full surprise or semi-surprise, no walking the stage, and that really added another element of adrenaline in there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
A lot of missed targets, I'm guessing. A lot of people running by targets when they didn't know what to expect from a stage.
Yes, but you see, at that event, the ROs were free to coach you.
Oh, okay.
And so the ROs would tell you if you were running by your penalty was that, yeah, you did run by it, and they'd say, yeah, target right, target left, whatever, see? And then you realize that it was a whole different mentality of not this, running through a stage that you've choreographed to the last football. Yeah, but now knowing that you've got to look for the bad guys.
All right, and our competitors are off here.
Trevor really puts a hurt on the pistol rack there, and he's into the rifle already. Local law enforcement officer, too. Heck of a shooter. I've been shooting with him for quite a few years. And he's into the shotgun array and finishes off before Robert got through his rifle rack. Wonder if the rain had anything to do with that. So, John, this has been kind of interesting for me as kind of a gear guy over the years. I've been looking at how a lot of 3-gun is as an arms race, so to speak, and everybody's constantly changing equipment. And I've been familiar with JP rifles for, about as long as I've been in the industry now, about 14 years or so, maybe a little less than that. And something that's always been interesting to me is I see the evolution of the 3-gun rifle change so much. But one thing that you've consistently done is maintained. It's changed very little. The CTR-02 has been an iconic rifle in the game forever. And while I've seen a lot come in and fade out, I still see top competitors winning with CTR-02s at JP-15s.
Well, it goes back to my experience at the Soldier Fortune World Championship back in Vegas. When I started shooting that match, it became real apparent to me what actually mattered in the rifle and what the essence of it was, what the rifle had to do in the hands of a professional.
Sure.
I've never lost focus of that, but we've just continued to refine that.
Sure.
You know, and
Sure.
so I think that's why, like the London raincoat, our stuff is still in vogue.
It's interesting. When small diameter handguards came on the market, there was this mass migration to that. Everybody's running these little 1.5 or similar diameter handguards, and yet
Personally, I can't stand them. But
right, and it's interesting though, as I see it coming back, I see a lot of companies now, and certainly you've been unwavering with this, but a lot of companies going back to a larger diameter, 2-inch round handguard.
To me, the 2-inch is the ergonomic ideal. And when we first started building the large format rifles, of course, like everybody else, we had 2¼ inch. And that doesn't sound like a big difference to me, though. That 2¼ inch handguard was really cumbersome.
Sure.
And so that's why we figured out a way to get the smaller diameter handguard on the 308 class rifles. And then when you picked them up, you thought, God, is this a 223 rifle? Yeah, no,
Sure.
It's the big gun. So.
I had that moment in Rocky Mountain a couple years ago with one of your ultra lightweight 308s when I picked it up, and I believe it was Paul actually said, "Yeah, that's a 308," and I was like, "Get out of here!" I had to flip her over and look under it.
So, what's your take then? Are you a heavy rifle fan? Are you a light rifle fan?
Oh, I love all rifles.
Okay, all right.
No, I know. For the last several years, I've typically been shooting the heavy metal class, kind of to honor the late great Eddie Rhodes,
Sure.
who came up with that idea, and he was a very close friend of mine. But it's I've shot all these divisions and even iron sights when I still had eyes that worked. So,
So paired up now is Reed Schwark and Brandon Ostrut. Reed and Iowegian. Firing simultaneously with the pistol array.
Brandon just plates ahead. Brandon dumps his pistol, moves into his rifle first. And Reed's just a little bit behind. Had a little bit of trouble there finding his rifle. Brandon's off that plate rack first and onto his shotgun. And he's taking his time and getting those hits.
nice run.
And Brandon takes it by the entire shotgun array.
Reed goes to a match saver to finish off the final plate, and it's down.
But he doesn't stop shooting.
Don't stop shooting.
Right? So when JP, when we look at rifle builds, I've seen over the last couple of years a lot of trends of guys going short, 14.5 inch, super lightweight profiles on the barrels, and even relief cuts in some receivers and things like that, just to save a few ounces. And now you get like the really lightweight rifle, sometimes carbon fiber handguards and stuff like that. But then there's the old school of thinking with heavy H-bar type profile on the barrel, and
I've always been a fan of lower weight, but we've always felt that if we were going to give up that weight, we always felt that we had to do it without giving up reliability and accuracy. So that was the thing. And back, if you remember the carbon fiber rifles when they first came out,
yes.
One of my lead engineers at that time, Dave Kamek, and myself, we went out and bought a couple of these things ourselves. They're 4-pound guns, but of course, they wouldn't work. And we took a good look at these things. And we realized that they had pushed them just outside of that reliability envelope, because they didn't have a real buffer in them. They had this capsule full of lead shot.
oh, no kidding.
And we thought, well, how light a rifle could we make and still have it actually work? And then we came up with that ultralight profile. And it still shot like half minute, and I said, yeah. So then actually that's the kind of rifle I've been shooting for this game now for quite a few years now.
That's great.
A super lightweight rifle. And, if I'm only shooting out to 400 or 500 yards, I'll go with a rifle like that every time. Now, if I'm going to one of these precision events where I got to shoot 6 or more, all right, then I'm going to a little bit heavier gun, because the sacrifice you're making with the low weight is that your body signature is now more into the gun.
Oh, okay.
It's not that the gun is, inherently less accurate. It's that your body signature now is into the gun, and the weight sinks that out.
I gotcha.
So here's a cool matchup here: Andre Desautels and Kate Arnzen. I'm not going to say new to 3-gun necessarily, but they were heavy pistol competitors for a long time and made the transition into multi-gun a couple of years ago, and both of them are a force to be reckoned with.
Yep, Kate's a great competitor.
Oh, yeah.
Andre is an outstanding pistol shooter, real instinctive pistol shooter.
Very, very fancy guitarist, too.
Yeah, I give him a lot of crap about that. I made a living in a rock band for 8 years.
in the pistol array, already into his rifle. Kate just catching the cadence.
And Kate's down on the rifle herself.
Andre with only one makeup shot on the rifle. That was pretty good. He's into the shotgun already.
Moves on to the shotgun, and he's taking his time here. And he drops his stop plate. And Kate finishes up her array, so Andre moving on.
Yeah, Andre's one of our sales guys, does a fantastic job.
Very mellow fellow, in fact.
Right.
A lot of your folks out here this weekend. JP,
Well, it's in our backyard. They better be.
It's great to see the amount of participation y'all have in the shooting sports. You know that you go to a speed shop sometimes, and if the guy doesn't own a race car, but he's trying to tell you what parts to buy, it's hard to take his opinion seriously.
No, that was really the kind of the basis of our business. If I wouldn't have been going to these things and playing this game and being the person behind the trigger for all those years, well, then the equipment wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's great. You always have like a test bed, and it's people that live it every day.
And it's great now that we have so many employees that are, not only play the games but are proficient. And then we have another group of employees that are really into the long-range competitive shooting now too, which is great.
We're seeing that at Vortex really sweeping in and taking a big bite out of multi-gun and
a lot of crossover.
Yes, it is, and it is very interesting to see the shooting culture. I think in America anyway, go from predominantly a clays game in the 50s, 60s, and probably into the 70s until we got into action shooting, like Police Positive and then IDPA and USPSA and things like this. And now this sniper game is getting very big too. So it's
don't call it that. It's politically incorrect.
Right. Precision rifle.
That's what I call it. At the Blue Steel Ranch, it's Steel Safari.
That's right. I got to come down there sometime.
It's a great place, yeah.
And that was a recent acquisition for you a couple of years ago now that you started that.
2014,
Yep.
yeah. On my bucket list,
It's by part of New Mexico.
It's just in the eastern border, by 30 miles from Texas, and pretty much centered in the state, north and south, just outside of Logan.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful Logan. The first long-range match I shot was the ITRC back in, I don't know what it was, 1990, 91. It was quite a while back. And that really changed my whole perception of shooting. And I got obsessed about that, and it changed. Really, for me, it changed the direction of my product development at that point too. So that was Dave Locke's event there, the International Tactical Rifle Championship, the two-man team event. I actually shot it with one of my employees at the time who had moved out to Gillette, and I had read about the event, and it always sounded so intimidating, But then when he moved out there, and he RO'd the event, he called me up and he says, "John, we got to do." He says, "You can do this. We can do this." Of course, I was just past 50 at that point,
right.
And I showed up for it. And the next morning, I went out, and our first stage was 3 miles uphill at altitude. I damn near died.
It's like I came for a shooting match, not a hike.
Right. And a slight rain delay and a little target repair here, so we're taking a little bit of a break from the bout. Everybody's donning their rain jackets and colorful umbrellas.
John, a couple of these precision series they have divisions for 223, and it seems like a pretty good way to get three gunners to kind of dip their toes into precision, or to bring out people that may not have a larger caliber. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's definitely a good idea. Now, I'm not a fan of developing divisions just to dilute things, but I think they're, again, getting that crossover and allowing divisions so that people can shoot the equipment they may use in another game, but yet not feel like they're not having to compete with guys with 6.5, 284 bolt guns and things like that. Absolutely. And the gas gun division itself, I always start shooting gas guns right from the get-go. And one year, 2012, at the PSG match, and my shooting partner, Clark Kennedy, and we actually won the event with gas guns, and that was the first time a gas gun team had ever won a precision rifle event, in a team event. And it was kind of funny because Monday morning the phone was ringing, people buying LRP-07s.
Oh, no kidding. Race on Sunday, sell on Monday, right?
It was so funny. I didn't expect that we'd win it all, and when they called our name, it took a while to sink in. That was actually we were in first place on this match, But the guys who ran the match, Scott Satterley and Ryan Castle, who run a great event, they weren't anticipating the gas gun factor, and they put a couple of stages in there that they didn't realize it, but they were really gas gun biased.
Right.
And we just literally burned these things down, So kind of gave us an edge.
So having never shot any precision rifle myself, what is it about a stage that makes it gas gun friendly?
If you get a stage that has, a fairly high round count and targets that, especially at a team match like that, where both shooters have to engage multiple targets over and over again, if you don't have to get off the gun, and of course Clark and I are both reticle shooters. We're Horus Vision fanatics. That's how I met him.
Right.
I saw him one year at the SHOT Show, and I saw this guy walking. His shirt had a Horus Vision reticle embroidered on the back of his shirt, and I had recently become a disciple of that method, and I had to go meet him. And so we were on the same page. So then we started shooting together as a team.
Sweet.
And because we're both talking the same language, we're both reticle shooters. That's one of the reasons why we do so well. And of course, Clark is my CNI dog. I'm blind, but see, he finds the targets for me. As long as he can find them, I can hit them. So
it's a good relationship to have.
And there's no doubt that the gas guns can be as accurate as the bolt guns. But the downside, in my opinion, is that they're more technique sensitive. Bolt gun technique, I can tell you, does not transfer over to gas guns.
Right.
In my opinion.
And why is that?
Have you ever shot a precision air rifle?
I haven't.
I own a number of precision air rifles, and over the years I've used them to practice with. And precision air rifles, you can say the same thing about those. They're very, very technique sensitive, and they will expose any chink in your technique. So if you can shoot an air rifle accurately, you can shoot pretty much anything accurately. And one of the reasons is because our long dwell time,
right.
the projectile in the barrel, anything that you're doing wrong shows up because the gun starts moving before the projectile leaves the barrel. A lot of them are spring actuated, the spring mechanism. If you're not exactly into the gun, ergonomically exactly the same every time, your POI will shift. Now the bolt gun doesn't have the dwell time issue, same as a gas gun, but what it does have is the reciprocating action is all the stuff that's going on in the gun that makes it a little bit technique sensitive, and you can't have this kind of a divorced kind of a technique that you run with a bolt gun where you're loosely into it and you're just barely gripping it and just touching the trigger with the pad. You got to get into a gas gun good tight cheek weld, and I usually control the trigger with the first crease of my knuckle, and when I release the shot, I don't release the trigger. I hold it back until my sight recovers, and then I'm releasing it, hearing the click of the reset, kind of like I look at it as the follow-through on a golf swing.
Right.
And all that, if you get that all down, by God, then you can shoot the gas gun with the same level of accuracy that you would the bolt gun.
Right.
It's just that you get the advantage of the fast follow-up shot.
Right. And, and that seems to be like the prevailing wisdom now, although it wasn't too long ago, just a couple of years, when people said that you couldn't get the precision out of a gas gun that you could out of a...
There's still a lot of dyed-in-the-wool bolt gun shooters in the PRS community that absolutely do not believe that.
Really?
They will not. You could sit down here and shoot a group on paper down there, and they will not believe it. Oh, no, you punch those out in the hand, So it's still a stigma.
It's a confirmation bias, right?
But just to give you an idea, Candace Horner was out at the Blue Steel Ranch. We had a writers' conference out there, and we had a number of gun writers. And Candace wanted to do an article about gas guns versus bolt guns for PRS series. And we says, well, let's go out and shoot some groups on paper to 300 yards. And it was like a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind blowing, and we had paper up at one of our square ranges there. And they had some they actually had some hand loads, and my hand loads were shooting, just about a minute at 300. They just, groups that they probably not worth taking a picture of per se. But we had some of the Hornady 140 ELD ammo they just had sent me. So I took some of that up there, and I sat down behind my rifle, and I put 4 rounds into .350
wow.
at 300 yards with a flyer at 1.5 inch. It was still a half minute, even
Right.
with the flyer, which was obviously me. And then Canada sat down and shot a half minute, real consistent half minute group off her bipod, with that ammo. And I said, well, yeah, okay, I think the guns will do it.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much proves it right there.
Couple of shooters still on the side match there, and I'll tell you, it is dripping like a turtle plucked from the pond right now.
Yeah.
It is a soaker out here. Yeah, it's interesting, John, the precision rifle and the gas gun debate. We've got a lot of local guys around us that have switched over to your LRP-07s and 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor for a law enforcement standpoint. It's a very practical application.
Right.
Certainly when we're dealing with stuff in an urban environment and a quick follow-up shot can be a necessity, it definitely owns the night there, so to speak.
Yeah, we made huge inroads in that LE community.
Oh, yeah. And no doubt, I mean, I can attest to the accuracy. We've got a number of shooters at Vortex that run, your rifles in 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor, and they're nothing to scoff at whatsoever. We expect the same degree of accuracy out of any of those gas guns that we would our precision bolt rifles, and it's very interesting to see how that's come in a long ways, or come a long ways over a shorter period of time. It's interesting that the LR308 or that style platform still is somewhat non-standardized, though, even after all this time.
It is, totally. A lot of people think it is.
Right, and we still have a couple of different magazines and a couple of different receiver profiles and barrels and things like that, and there's a couple of companies throwing some new designs into the hat. And what do you think the future is on the LR308 platform? I mean, are we going to see a slow and steady progression and perhaps a standardization, or is it going to be the wild, wild west indefinitely?
No, I think eventually it will come to a standardization. And I really got to credit Randy Luth at DPMS for probably doing more to get people in alignment in terms of a particular receiver profile, made up and whatnot. And of course, that's the pattern we went with. But we do make uppers for the Armalite / SR25, the rifles also. But that was the pattern we chose. But there again, beyond that, there's a lot of subtle differences that are out of the box there. And we spend a lot of time on our website trying to make sure people understand these compatibility issues. And they're not buying parts that they're going to have an issue with. But I foresee it getting closer to the center. Ironically, what the military selected right now, I don't think ultimately will be the standard.
Sure.
Because I think they're going to, we're competing there, and it's a number of other people that are outside that particular platform, and I think that eventually will put it to bed.
So I see a lot of people interested in 6.5 Creedmoor, and up until a few years ago, it's not something I personally was aware of on such a large basis. It seemed like everyone that I knew that was shooting long range was shooting 308.
First it was the 260 came after that, and then of course Hornady came out with the 6.5 Creed. That tended to dominate. Now it's moving on to the 6.
Yes.
So now we're chambering in 6 Creed, and that cartridge seems to have what I would call a hair splitting advantage. I would, as a hunting cartridge, probably wouldn't go with it, but. If you're looking to split hairs, and of course, long-range precision, the game is a game of splitting hairs. So.
That's true.
Yeah, that is a fascinating cartridge evolution too. That little 6.5 Creedmoor, especially, and any spin-off from it, has really changed the American long-range game. The 260, which Jim Carmichael came out with, way back in like 1997 or maybe even earlier than that, just never got marketed the way the 6.5 Creedmoor did, and now the Creed is on top. I mean, that cartridge has sold more scopes for us at Vortex, and as well as I'm sure everybody else in the industry that's got a long range optic than about everything. And now, a hell of a time to be alive as an American shooter. You can go down to your local sporting goods store and pick up a relatively inexpensive rifle from just about any major manufacturer and go touch a mile if you've got the right day and the right optic.
That's right.
And what a neat little round, and marketing is everything with that. The ammo is affordable, it's plentiful, and it's a cartridge that I think that it's enhanced my ability as a shooter, either long range or otherwise, because it's pretty forgiving to shoot, and I can go out and shoot 60, 80, 100 rounds of ammunition and not feel beat up.
Yeah.
Even as mild
Yeah.
as a 308 is out of a bolt gun, you know, when you get
It beats you up.
40 deep in it, it's
Right.
you have to take a break and have a Snickers or something. But no, 6.5 Creedmoor and 6 Creedmoor, that's coming on strong. And I'd love to see what's going to come out. You know,
One of
Yeah.
the other, I guess, little lessons I learned back when as I've been shooting competitively since I was a young kid. I mean, I had a passion for it. At one point, I was doing all these, the NRA silhouette sports. I happen to have a knack for offhand rifle shooting, so I was doing all of that. And one of the things I saw, which I think also is present in the long-range practical shooting community now, is that people are overly obsessed with the accuracy of their rifles.
Yes.
They're like back in the silhouette, these guys had spent like all their time trying to build this quarter-minute group, and I never did that. My rifle shot half, three-quarter minute, but I could shoot it offhand, and I was kicking ass with it. I said, you spend your time at what matters. And I think the same thing, like in the long-range precision, practical shooting, your ability to get into position quickly and build positions and to shoot compromised positions and understanding that all the other stuff about it is a lot more important than whether your rifle shoots, a quarter or a three-quarter.
Huh.
You give a really skilled shooter a 1 MOA rifle, which is like ho-hum. And he's going to go out there and be really competitive with it if he has, like Clark Kennedy's a perfect example, my partner. He's just such a natural shooter. In fact, when we won the PSG match, Clark showed up. I gave him a rifle he had never shot. I gave him it was the first pre-production 6.5 Creedmoor.
John, let's table that for just a moment here. We've got our competitors up right now. We have Gunnar Ann and David Grundy facing off in the rain.
both exceptional shooters, good friends of mine. Dave has a slight edge on him in the pistol. And actually, Gunnar picked it back up. They're both into the rifle at about the same time. About plate by plate right now. Gunnar with a slight advantage, shooting a JP. Little short barrel job. Both into the shot at the same time. This one's going to be tight. Oh, man.
And David had to go back for that one plate that he shot right over, and Gunnar took that win. Nice work, Gunnar.
Lucky he did, because now he's still got a job tomorrow.
Yep. Sorry to cut in, guys. I apologize. We just have to make one announcement. Hey, we have 1 hour left on the food, and there's a ton of food left, everybody. So please, if you're still hungry, head on over, give generously to Task Force Dagger, get fed. We're closing at 3:30. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Gunnar's been a staple in this industry for as long as I've been around. He's floated all over the place, and now, John, he's working for you. And
He's kind of our man on the road.
Yeah, I see him everywhere I go. There's a Gunnar here and there and everywhere. And
I think there's actually 4 of them.
yes, we're fairly certain.
These are just regional Gunnars.
A native of Scotland, Gunnar is often seen shooting in a kilt.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
He is a Sagittarius.
So, John, I cut you off there on your story.
Yep. I was just saying that this is not the first time. We've done this several times. Clark shows up at a match with no equipment. I gave him a rifle he has never shot. I proved it, give him a data card, and we do go out and, we won that year. Usually typically finishing up at the top 10 at most of the events, and him just showing up, shooting a rifle he's never even squeezed the trigger on.
Jeez.
So.
Yeah, and most people sleep with their rifles and only don't let them go and get all that stuff out of the way beforehand by themselves.
Yeah. Swinging into another bout here, we got James Shaw and Dustin Felix. James is shooting this match suppressed on his rifle, which is a fun and refreshing change. And here in Minnesota, we've only just been recently allowed to have suppressors, which is a big thing. It was something, certainly in my short lifetime, I didn't know if I was ever going to see. And
yeah, it's great to see that.
Yeah, it's becoming quite prevalent, and we're debunking myths every time we hit the range with one.
And it's quite pleasant as well.
Yes. James is
happy to have my ears be saved by James.
James has got a really interesting Mark 12 clone that he built, and it's about as close as any Mark 12 I've ever seen, down to the paint job. And he's been having fun with it. Of course, he's got a big shoot of fill here facing off against Dustin. Dustin's a pretty hardcore shooter, so this will be a good one. Last name like Felix, he's got to be good.
And here they're off. Dustin with the first shot out.
Dustin with about a plate lead on the pistol.
Dustin just pretty much going with accuracy by volume downrange there on the rifle and succeeds into the shotgun, puts down his stop plate. And James is going to skip the shotgun.
I will give that rifle the most points for the coolest, neatest build that we've seen out here.
Yeah, when I started shooting the precision game down in Texas, you were looked at when you came up when you didn't have a suppressor. You were considered to be uncivilized.
Yes, yes. I've heard a lot of stories like that from other countries as well. Like South Africa, you go to the range and you don't have a suppressor and you're a hooligan.
It is interesting, though, the stigma surrounding the can and what people think about it. You know, certainly not James Bond quiet as we've all been seeing on television, but it really does make shooting a more enjoyable experience for the shooter and bystanders and local wildlife, etc. I hope it's not long until we see a 3-gun rated suppressor, because I believe that market is prime for the picking. And you know, there's nothing that says that anything that's currently available doesn't work good. Obviously, we see competitors running it and doing so successfully, but nobody's really busted on and said this is the 3-gun can yet. So I'm hoping to see that myself. And
Well, the downside to them is that, I mean, if you want the lowest possible impulse feel off the rifle, you got to run a comp, not a suppressor.
true.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still see it. I see them proliferating in this game for you know, anyway.
A lot of these bay style matches that are fast and we're shooting really close targets. Do you feel there'd be a really inherent advantage to having a very soft shooting rifle when it's just close stuff and we're not worried about really coming back off target and trying to find it quickly? Or
I feel there is.
okay,
I mean, that's just my take on it.
I'm not very fast, so I guess
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that point. I've been
All right.
known to pull the trigger quickly, and I'm reminded of my friend James Yonda, one of the Hornady shooters. He said, just miss fast. That's the way to do it. So if there's 22 to 23 rounds in my pistol magazine and I have 8 to 9 targets, I'll be sure to get into the 20s on that. It's
Yep.
always a good show.
Accuracy through volume theory.
That's correct.
It works for some people.
All right, our bout coming up here is with Adam Maxwell and Sam Munson. Adam, of course, was just on the show. See if he gives him any luck. Adam's off his pistol first, probably a lead of 2-3 plates here.
A little slower off the rifle, shooting limited with the Huey. Yep, starting to connect. They go shot for shot on the plates on the rifle rack, and they're into the shotgun. Adam with a slight lead. That's a tight match.
Nice.
That was pretty crazy.
Yep. You know, Adam's transition to that shotgun, I think, gave him a little bit of an advantage, too. He made it really quick.
For a guy who's left-handed, he sure does make up for it.
He's got to overcompensate.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's been great sharing stories with you. I've
Yeah.
got another commitment, so I'm going to have to take off.
John, always a
John
pleasure
Paul,
to have you
always
on
a
the show,
pleasure.
man.
Right.
Thank you for stopping out.
Great to have pioneers in the industry stop by and chat guns with us. Drop microphones.
We need to
all
work
over.
on the microphone taking off, but
He's new at this. Is all right.
thank you, John.
Everybody's staring up here intently as if waiting for us to say something funny. There's nothing funny about that.
Well, Sean O'Brien's pretty funny.
Yeah, Sean O'Brien is quite a funny guy. Our next matchup here coming up here pretty quick, waiting for a clean card.
Yep, we're going to get our new bracket any moment now.
I see Jake Latola up there surveying the shooting position. I can assume Jake is going to be back for glory. Looks like he's facing off against Alex Cady. This is a cool matchup. Again, two guys that are pretty prevalent names in the shooting community here in Minnesota. And Jake very intense, Alex very laid back. Both just heavy hitters. Love to see them go at a bout in a thumb war. Wonder who would win. So, Dave, you're traveling around the countryside nowadays doing the show, and you get a chance to see a lot of people from a lot of walks of life and a lot of different places. And what do you take away from the Minnesota community?
What do I think of the Minnesota community?
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, as a group of shooters, as whatever it is that we are.
Well, I guess most of them smell like maple syrup.
Yep. I mean, we're
What's
not
that?
Canada. We're close, but
Nah, the Minnesota community is interesting. Super tight community and a lot of dedicated shooters.
Yeah.
The amount of shooting options on a weekly basis here in Minnesota is especially in the Minneapolis area is pretty well unmatched.
yeah, definitely. No, it's pretty strong competitor base. It's always fun to see in national level matches when the Minnesota contingency go to town and clean some house. That's always a fun one.
And I think there is the right amount of taking it seriously to fun ratio.
Yeah, I'm a little more fun than serious. Most of that has to come from ability, perceived or otherwise. But I tend to think that we're a pretty lighthearted group of shooters, and everybody gets along pretty well, and we're always cracking jokes at others' expenses.
And the amount of solid shotgunners around here is ridiculous. You
Yeah.
really got to bring your shotgun game if you're going to shoot a match in Minnesota.
For a while there, the Nordic Components Tactical Shotgun Championship, which is a match that's going to be rehosted again, brought back from a couple-year hiatus as it alternated with a multi-gun match, kind of a resurgence of the old DPMS Tri-Gun. The Nordic Components Tactical Shotgun match had at one time been heralded as the best tactical shotgun match on the planet. Which
Really?
is that's a big claim.
It's huge
And,
considering like all the shotgunning that goes on in Ireland. and
yeah,
England,
in Europe,
et cetera.
absolutely, with the IPSC shotgun match and all that stuff. And we had competitors from all walks of life and from national to international show up at the match, and it was a pretty humble beginning. We had, I think, our first match we had 53 shooters, and I think 22 of them were staff. So it was interesting to see how all of that had progressed to, we had sold out the past couple of years. We were getting into 200 to 250 shooters plus. And, a lot of these same faces that we see here on the multi-gun side of things, we always saw there, of course. And yes, the shotgun aspect of what makes the Minnesota three-gun community great comes from those humble roots at the Nordic Tac Shotgun match. We always had a good time putting that on and building stages and trying to figure out how to handicap each class, and it was great. A lot of strong pump shooters out of Minnesota.
Yeah. So a lot of strong pump shooters, and then when we have three-gun in the mix, it ends up looking like a lot of strong heavy shooters.
Yes. Yep.
So quite. Let's see. I think I counted like 17 and 18 in heavy optics and heavy limited at the Trigun.
Yep.
It's quite the big contingent
Absolutely.
of heavy shooters up here.
You form these little microcultures inside of the shooting community, and we start to see a big shift towards limited because, well, everybody's shooting TAC ops, so why don't we just shoot some limited? And I think a lot of that, then follow suit with other classes. We see a lot of the guys, especially from JP, shooting heavy. Those guys are really starting to clean that up around the countryside and bringing that back. It's a cool class, and I'd like to see more of it. But 308 at a buck a shot is getting a little tricky sometimes.
Right, but then you don't have to double tap, which
That's
is
true.
just
That's
like
true.
cheating.
Yeah. That's they keep encouraging me to come shoot heavy, but I have all I can do with my wimpy little 22 bore. I can't see holes in my target, so I'm going to double tap it anyway. So it's going to be a pretty expensive endeavor for me.
I think I'm going to try to shoot at least one match in heavy this year. I don't know if it's going to be major match or local or something like that, but definitely going to try to at least wet my feet a little bit and see what it's like since I've shot limited, TAC, shot some PCC.
That's another cool class, that PCC. That's a fun one. We've got Josh Froelich, our local three-gun PCC wizard here. He's shooting full PCC at this match in Unlimited Open. And neat class. It's cool to see that finally being accepted nationally. We had a local shooter, Keith Olfers, who was taking a bit of a hiatus from the shooting lately, but he had built a neat little PCC way back when that was a gas-powered 7.62 Tokarev, of all things, that he Geppettoed in his garage. And he used to come and shoot that, and Jomar Villamore, another one of our local law enforcement officers and strong competitors, shot a Beretta CX-4 Storm for a long time. And of course, well, some people looked at him a little goofy, but man, is that a cool class to shoot. And certainly if you're good at it, there's not a lot that you can't do with a PCC that you could with a regular caliber rifle in a lot of these bay matches. Of course, you start to suffer heavily after we get beyond 100 yards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facing off here, we have the Jake Latola and the Alex Cady again. Jake, a former golfer, got into three-gun around 2010 after a back injury and has not slowed down. Doesn't appear to age either.
Smells fresh like a baby's bottom.
He does. Into the pistol about the same pace. Jake pulling a bit of a lead.
Onto his rifle.
As is Alex.
Jake's got a one-plate lead.
Yep.
He's up to his shotgun first.
That's a tight race right there. It's a good one, though.
Yeah, that was a great race.
Versamax versus Vinci. Now, there's a fun talking point there. Are you a Versamax shooter? Are you an inertia shooter? If you're an inertia shooter, is it an M1, M2? Is it a Browning A5?
It's like watching a Mini Cooper race a Fiat.
It is. Yeah, well, that is one way. That is one way to put it, I guess. We all know the answer is, of course, going to be Mini Cooper, and
you're not going to pick up any chicks with either of them. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll agree to disagree about that. Maybe I'll see you in my Mini, and we'll see that. But Jake's shooting a Vinci. He's been shooting a Vinci for a while now. I'm a fellow Vinci shooter. I think there's a lot to be said for that gun. I wish it got a little bit more recognition on the three-gun course. Of course, the Versamax is ever popular as a choice for the three-gunner. It's always a tough call. Which one do you go with? Which one's right? Which one's wrong? It's kind of a Ford Chevy debate or Mini Fiat debate, I guess.
Yeah, I always equate it to, your girlfriend. Once you pick your brand, you got to defend her to the end,
That's true.
And it gets into weird conversations of Stoker versus Benelli versus Remington versus.
We see Benelli, of course, still domineering the course. No pun intended. And has been for a long time. When I was at Nordic, that was the #1 selling extension tube was the Benelli.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, nobody was running over 8 rounds in their shotgun, 8+1, and now everybody's got 12s and 14s and all this stuff. And we're putting like 6 shells in a gun at one time. And
you got to get taller.
Yeah. No kidding. So Alex Strange facing off against Nick. Well, we got kind of an interesting mix-up here. We're back against Nick Hardick and Alex Strange into our next bracket here. Looks like we've got a non-updated sheet, so I'm stumbling over words. Like
we don't have
like the village drunk. Nick's a skydiver. He likes to do that for fun. He likes to fall out of perfectly good airplanes on a weekly basis. I believe he's an instructor now. And for those of you not watching the show, Nick can bench press a moose. He's a large man, and does enjoy a good 14,000-foot free fall.
Probably falls pretty fast.
I bet he does. Hits terminal velocity rather quickly.
All right, they square up here.
Looked like he fell out of the shooting box a little bit, but they're pretty evenly matched. Both going to their rifles right off the bat.
Nick finishes the rifle rack with two plate lead onto his shotgun.
And that was close.
Wow.
Oh, man, Alex just overshot his stop plate, and it was...
That was a really close matchup. These are they're getting fun here.
I think their shot strings tied together at the end there. Just the other day, Nick had posted an Instagram or a Snapchat, I can't remember what it was, of him free falling into a cornfield, which was really fun to watch. He'll do that a lot, and there he was, right into the middle. So making crop circles. You ever done that? You ever jumped out of a plane for fun?
No, I haven't.
I did it a couple years ago. My girlfriend had talked me into it as a good time, and it was really interesting. I didn't know what I was going to expect. I'm not really an adrenaline junkie. Roller coasters are not fun for me. And so somehow she said, let's jump out at 14,300 feet. And out we went, and down we fell. I ruptured my eardrum on the way down. So I can't say it was a very enjoyable experience.
Is that from the wind buffeting? Or?
It was either from that or the rapid change in pressure. And chute popped, and there we sat in some sort of this weird stasis floating down to the earth, and that was pretty enjoyable. It's very quiet up there. But I don't know if I'd do it again.
Did you have to do it with a buddy?
Well, he wasn't my buddy, but
right. But they call that like a buddy jump or something.
I was strapped to another man for the duration of that free fall.
It is kind of a weird bonding situation to have another man strapped to your
Yeah.
back when you're floating back to Earth.
He was very enthusiastic about it. He was an adrenaline junkie. He's like, "Bro, is this the greatest thing you've ever done, bro?"
You're like, "Let's talking, dude."
I'm like, "Yeah, that's actually it." We hit the bottom, we hit the ground, and we disconnected from each other, and he looked at me. He's like, "That was kind of a buzzkill for me, dude. You just kind of hung there and fell." And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was like, is this where you fist bump or what? What do we do?
Yeah, what do you say after that? Is it a warm embrace and I'll call you? Or?
No, I walked away. I felt, I don't know. I'm not going to say, I didn't feel dirty, but I just felt
used.
Used, yeah, I guess. I went and I had sushi afterwards. Just very. I didn't have a lot to say after that.
All right, we got Paul Woolmuth and Sean Wheeler getting ready to face off here.
Paul is sporting a very bright green mag pouch. For those of you not watching.
Paul with that first shot and off the pistol array first.
I don't think he even had a makeup shot on that pistol array. I think he just ran right through that. And only a handful of makeup in the rifle.
Yep. And onto the shotgun.
He is done with that array before he even started. That was hasty.
Doesn't even let off the gas.
No.
Just lays down the shotgun run, and Paul will advance.
I have to wonder if those athletic-looking shoes he's wearing had anything to do with it. It's another interesting thing. You can look around the shooting.
Are those knee wraps that he's wearing, or does he have yoga pants on?
It's yoga. They're yoga capris.
Yoga capris.
Yeah,
Okay.
yoga capris. He's kind of a new age guy.
Well,
He lives in Minneapolis.
guess
so.
you can't fault him. He won.
Yeah, he did. He did win. I don't think he can hear me either. Oh, he can.
Oh, he
looked,
can.
Yeah, he looked back.
He did point a gun at us just
Yeah,
now.
They are knee wraps. They're not knee wraps. But
Oh,
wow.
Turns out they are knee wraps.
Wow.
Had to see a man's white thigh to find out, but they are knee wraps.
But shoes in the sport are an interesting thing. We've got a pretty interesting shoe with the Solomon Speed Cross series. About everybody wears them. You see tracks in the mud, and they're those signature Speed Cross ones.
It's like our moccasin.
Yeah.
Can't tell how many of us have been in one place because we all wear the same pattern.
Before we kind of really got into this up here, everybody was wearing like combat boots, and the guys who wore football spikes, everybody looked at them funny, like, "What are you doing with football spikes, pal?" But lo and behold,
USPSA.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, and we got a guy wearing Chuck Taylors down there, looking sporty.
Cute.
Looking sporty. No socks on that either. It's a little different.
Wow. All right, then.
So up now is Josh Tweet and Ruben Alexson, again, facing off. This is going to be a fun one to see how that goes down. Ruben's just had some interesting shotgun work done as of recently. He had the bent rib on his shotgun removed. So he's currently got like a rear island and then the front island where the front bead stayed. And there's an interesting theory behind this on whether or not it alleviates some tension on the barrel to change POI or under thermal influence, whether or not it's going to affect POIs drastically. And so the jury's still out on it. Ruben's going to let me know how he thinks or what he thinks about it after this match.
Yeah, I'd like to see some data or at least some testing on it. But here they are squaring up, fist to fist.
Ruben with a quick little hiccup on the pistol. I'm not sure what happened, if he had to readjust or do a slide rack. Both into the rifle about the same time. Ruben cleaning that plate with authority, and actually Josh pulling a plate ahead.
Yep. Onto the shotgun here. Ruben's got to
And
turn
a
on the
tight
gas.
race.
Oh,
and
wow.
oh my gosh, Ruben pulls it off into clutch. That was close. This is where it gets interesting when it gets to the end. When
Yeah.
you start getting the really, really speedy guys, you never know how it's going to go. I can't see around Mr. Brent Allen out there, so I can't really see the stop plate as it's going down.
Massive, massive man in the middle.
He is a large man. Also can't hear me.
Or is ignoring us. Who knows?
That could be. That was a tight match right there. That was a pretty good one.
That was a good one. You know, it looked like Josh called a hit on his last plate, went over to the stop plate, took a shot, missed both of them, came back and finished up on his plate, left the stop plate standing.
Again, the challenges of the man v man. You want to race yourself as well as your opponent.
Yeah. It's a unique kind of pressure when you're shooting against someone else, you know. Usually you're just battling the targets and they're not actually moving.
Ruben's verdict on the vent rib is it works. So there you have it, folks. Get your Dremels out, your hand mills, as my good friend TK Martindale would say, and remove that vent rib immediately.
Yep,
It
8
is
rounds
only slowing you down.
proved its worthiness. All right, we got Nathan Payne up against Cole White.
Two of Minnesota's finest law enforcement officers.
We'll have to ask Cole when he's done here if we're going to be seeing any more X-Men movies featuring Sabretooth.
In fact, yeah, Cole is actually I guess nightlife alias is Liev Schreiber. How he came up with the name, I'm unsure, because he's not very German. But yeah, he is featured in the X-Men series, as well as a couple of other B-roll films that probably nobody's seen before. Check him out on Google, just Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
That is actually Cole White.
IMDb.
His mutations are no joke, though. That's a real deal. It's kind of a struggle for him as a kid.
Got them big teeth and
Yeah,
the
a lot of hair growth.
A lot of hair growth. It's looks like the hair growth is kind of stopped on the back part of his head, but other than that, you know,
Transition to the beard. So here
Gotcha.
they are,
Here they are.
facing off. Two Titans into the pistol ring. Nathan going clean in the pistol.
Nathan
Cole
down to
Adams
his
waiting
rifle
to catch up.
first.
Nathan runs a good rifle game.
Off that plate rack before the first hit. And Nathan takes that one. So he was off the rifle rack before Cole, or excuse me. Yeah, before
Nice.
Cole even got his first shot off.
Once it goes fast.
It does.
I know I'll still be watching Cole in the next X-Men film, whatever it is.
Future days of past featured presence.
Something like that. But this is a pretty cool match. It is neat for me, being a friend of the late great Jeff Kirkwold, to see everybody come out and play guns with us. It was something we decided almost immediately had to happen, and it's definitely not slowing down. So that makes us very excited to see this gaining ground and speed and traction every time. Make a lot of noise.
And a lot of competitors, and it's growing every year, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We've got several states represented here as well
Yes.
with shooters. And Brandon Ostrud is coming back up against Trevor Arbruster. Sun has come back out.
Hopefully drying my tent off so I can roll that up. It was a soaker when we got here on Friday night. It was absolutely pouring, so I set my tent up in the rain, and that was dreadful.
Does anything ever really dry in Minnesota?
I don't think it does, actually. We go right from the rainy season to the Arctic season.
Yeah, so it
Somehow-
just freezes. It doesn't actually
You
dry.
know, it's interesting, though, but somehow the mosquitoes and wood ticks survive. I haven't worked this one out yet, so that's really fascinating.
Yeah, the insects in this state don't agree with me.
No. Yeah, you had a run-in.
Yeah, a little bit.
Tune into Dave's Instagram page. He looks like he just got punched in the face by a moose. And they're off. Trevor makes short work of his pistol rack into the rifle.
Down to the rifle, pretty much even here.
Only a
Trevor
couple of makeup
cleans that
shots,
rack.
and he's back on his shotgun. Nearly has a misstep on the shotgun array there, almost overshooting, and goes back to clean one up and win that bout.
And Trevor moves on.
I guess that settles the debate. Glock v 2011. Trevor shooting a Glock 1.
Settled once and for all.
A couple of boos from the 2011 crowd. They're not taking that well.
Yeah,
proof's in the pudding right there.
A bunch of hoity-toity sensitive types,
That's
those
right.
2011 shooters. So Ryan, we kind of alluded to it. I did get a little run-in with a bee.
Yes.
During the RO shoot, first stage of the day, I'm on deck. I'm sitting there thinking about popsicles instead of actually shooting like I should have been, and felt something crawling under my eye pro, and closed my eye, reached in to get it out, and the little bastard stung me
Right in the face.
right in the face, right at the corner of my eye, and I forgot who it was, but whoever's running the timer says, "You want us to throw you down in the order?" I was like, "Nah, I'm pretty sure my eye's gonna swell up, so we need to shoot now." And I was right.
It's been, what, 3 days?
3 days.
You still have some swelling.
Yeah. Woke up yesterday, day after. So went to bed. So Friday took Benadryl and stuff like that. Go to bed. It's like starting to clear up. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be so bad. Wake up Saturday morning. Can't see a thing. Can't even force my eye open with my hands. It was so swollen.
Simply incredible. That had to suck.
It was terrible.
What of the bee? Did it meet its demise, or did it go off to...
I'm pretty sure I killed that bastard.
One can only hope.
Smashed him up against my own face.
What kind of bee was it?
Main one. Angry bee. So we've got
Gunner v. Andre.
Andre, yeah.
2 JP employees, 2 very different souls.
This is
Andre
gonna be,
hailing from Spain, Gunner from Scotland.
It's going to be awkward at work on Monday, no matter what happens here.
Both are very, very highly ranked pistol shooters in the USPSA disciplines. Andre off the pistol onto the rifle. A little bit ahead of Gunner.
Yeah. He's got about a three-play lead now. Gunner coming on fast, trying to make it up. Andre to his shotgun first. Here comes Gunner. Andre puts his stop plate down.
Gunner firing from the hip.
Gunner hips it.
He's going to his match saver. Oh. It looked good, though. Style points for Mr. Gunner on. Andre winning the bout.
So, Ryan, surprising amount of depth perception gone when you only have one eyeball that I learned.
I imagine.
Mark drove me to the pharmacy, and it's a good thing he did, because when I got there, I was trying to grab the Benadryl off the counter, and I'm like knocking shit over and everything. So it's a good thing I had a spotter.
That's an awful time. A bee to the eye.
Yeah. I did.
Some
Actually,
folks from the crowd cheering, Dave shot better with one eye.
That's right. I had myself a nice 2-hour Benadryl nap in my truck, and came back and shot.
So our next pairing here, Dustin Felix v. Adam Maxwell. 2 powerhouses, speed demons, top fuel drag cars of men facing off.
Longtime travel companions in the Hypertruck.
Yeah, we'll see if that continues after today's matchup.
Somebody's going to be riding in the bed of the truck after this one.
That's something. Adam still left-handed, approaching the line. Adam is shooting a nifty little SBR that he's thrown together over the years. He loves that little lightweight rifle. thing. That long ago, he and I got talking about that, as he calls it, a moonraker or a space gun.
Nice. Yeah, shooting a PWS. You know, I'm going to have to get the tape measure out later on. It looks like the stock is longer than the barrel.
I believe it
thing.
is. Yeah. This is to make up for the unusual stance of the left-hander.
Most notably, he's using the wrong hand to pull the trigger.
In fact. Unwavered by my humor, he sets his rifle in the rack.
Unwavered or unimpressed?
I think it's a combination of both. Adam is really quite an impressive shooter. He's one of the first guys I took note of as a shooter in the state of Minnesota. In my age category, anyways, always been just a crazy competitive guy. Used to do quite a bit of dirt bike riding, actually. Snowmobiling.
Oh, nice friendly handshake before the match here. Dustin's getting prepared. He's getting focused.
Adam taking a low aggressive stance, and they're off. He's just short.
Dustin's about 4 plates ahead on the pistol, going down to his rifle first. Adam getting down on his rifle as well.
Adam's got some ground to gain here if he's going to try to catch.
Dustin's onto the shotgun. Adam still has 2 plates left on the rack. What you would call a 7-10 split. And Adam's going to go ahead and finish it out. And leaves the stop plate standing right out of rounds there.
Adam's shooting a holographic weapon sight, so definitely a tricky proposition at 70 yards on the plates.
But Adam's a limited shooter.
He
got
is.
a lot of practice doing that.
A limitless limited shooter.
So Dustin takes that that round. He's almost cracking a smile. Not really. Nope,
No,
shaking his
no,
head. No,
says
he
no.
never smiles. Okay.
He doesn't like jokes, fam.
Dustin shouting something at us. Doesn't realize the speakers only work one way.
That's good, though.
Hashtag hyperfire. Boom. Mark, count it, Mark.
How many likes do you get for that comment, I suppose? Or if you make it, if you say it on the air, how many is that worth? Mark says 1. Dave says more.
I'm going to send you a spreadsheet. And they're repainting because this round is over.
It's pretty neat how the ebb and flow of this goes, having the same target array every time. Setup's really quick. This is a pretty fast-paced match, and
we got a bunch of dedicated setters and resetters up here that are helping out quite a bit. I like the repaint between rounds too.
yes. Looks like we're going to get a little bit of sunshine too, which is pretty darn nice considering my tent was slightly dry. Less mildew than I would have had 15 minutes ago.
Looks like we got Nathan Payne up, and
No,
he's just being the caddy.
He is the caddy. Now, is this one of those? Is it like a Happy Gilmore caddy kind of thing where he gives advice to the shooter?
Nice. He's nodding his head.
Does not have a Subway hat though. Wish he did. That would really put a finishing touch on this.
So that means Jake Latola is up against some other guy.
Hand me that, Mike.
Adam.
Hey. All right, everybody. So we are going to actually run the unlimited shooters next. And then we're moving on to the quarter, semi, and finals. Okay? So if you're an unlimited shooter, it is time to get ready to shoot some guns. We got all those guys here? Who's our first bout?
Adam Maxwell joining us on the podcast here. Adam, welcome.
I'm back.
So Eric Sandstrom and
good to
Kurt
see ya.
Vanderloop, you need to get ready to shoot some guns.
Buddy, what happened out there?
Well, you know, can go either way. Didn't give those pistol targets as much respect as they deserve, so.
Yeah.
And then couldn't find a rifle plate to save my life. They're out there. They're nice and white, but.
Yeah, they're the pistol targets 10 by 10s, right? They're a little confusing because they're much larger than we normally shoot, but when you're all excited and there's another dude shooting next to you, you kind of get a little missy.
Yep. And you know, I saw something yellow fly in front of my face. I thought it was a bee.
Oh, really?
But turns out it was just a piece of brass.
Oh.
You know. But yeah, we're getting ready to run the very small unlimited division.
What happened to Unlimited? There's thought there was a talk of a lot of guys coming out and shooting it.
There were. I mean, well, there were 4 initially that were going to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, well, that's not enough to recognize the division. So we actually called an audible, and we were going to allow PCC into Unlimited because I'm of the opinion that open's open.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, so we actually made the first 4-gun division that you can use whichever 4 guns you wanted. And we were hoping to bait some of those PCC owners who are very prevalent around here into open class. And ultimately, it was not meant to be, which is very unfortunate because that was going to be kind of an exciting run in the shoot off here. That would mean you wouldn't have to shoot the pistol at all. You could shoot 2 guns.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
interesting.
eliminate a transition. So we were hoping to get a little bit more fast paced action and get the unlimited shooters some trophies or some prizes, but weren't able to fill the division this year. So these guys are just running boomsticks for fun.
Which is always a good time.
Which is ultimately what they want to do.
Heck yeah.
You know,
I'm excited to see how the
shoot guns and drain batteries is kind of what Open's all about.
I'm excited to see the PCCs run here instead of the pistols. It's kind of a cool little way to do it.
I'm not sure. I know Josh is shooting a PCC, I think, because he's getting tuned up for the Nationals next week.
Nice.
But I'm not sure if anybody else took the bait on the whole PCC thing.
Oh, okay. Mark's setting his camera back up here, and he's going to be setting up ours as well. If he turns around. Take this camera, Mark. We're holding it.
My fingers hurt.
But it'll help.
It does. I just got spanked.
Nathan Payne with the jokes. Got to get that guy a mic.
Payne always has jokes. Not always PG, but always jokes.
He's giving us the cut it out, guys. My mom might be listening.
His dad will probably be listening before too long, so.
And the sun has come out.
Tomorrow.
It's looking nice out here.
Open shooters renowned for their extremely drawn-out make-ready process.
Yeah, and they're not disappointing right now. Good Lord.
I'm just glad the sun did come out. It was a little wet there for a minute.
You got 55 minutes of battery on this bus.
Yep. I got 2 more right here. Dead air, guys. Dead air.
Dead air. Dead air, my favorite silencer company.
Segue.
1 out of jail, 1 in jail, and who knows what'll happen next.
I was telling Dave earlier, I'm really hoping we see an increase in suppressor use in the 3-gun community.
You know, I've been trying hard to that angle, trying to establish some of the, find out what the concerns are and establish the best practices around using suppressors, because they are, on the retail side we see them being very commercially popular, and there's no real sporting venue inside a competition to use one outside of PRS. So
Yeah,
I'm being asked to make a range master decision here.
Oh my
so
goodness.
bear with me.
official business on the air here. So myself, I'm I'm a suppressor noob, I guess. So hopefully Adam's
Without
guidance
coming
here.
off the mic, what's going to change in the semifinals is that, just to make it interesting, because we've all been eliminated now, so we don't really care about your pain. We want you to miss more. So you have to shoot offhand with the rifle going forward in semifinals, as per the stage brief in the beginning. This is quarterfinals. Okay.
So those who have practiced the offhand art will.
So there's 3 more rounds left? Is that what we're saying? Okay. I went to public school, not good at math.
And we're off the blocks here.
But yeah, suppressor use. A lot of people are concerned about the timers. The interesting thing about that is most often if you get a rifle that doesn't pick up on a timer, if you ask what the sensitivity setting of the clock was, nobody knows because nobody looked, you know. So the settings were always turned way down. The sensitivity was always turned down. And so I tend to think it's more of a timer issue than a suppressor issue.
Totally agreed.
And then the real concern with suppressors, especially if you get into a high round count stage, is that they get ridiculously hot.
Indeed.
Ridiculously hot. That's more the concern.
Looks like we lost some audio
Did we
here.
lose?
Yeah, we're back up.
All right. If we crank off like 30, 45 rounds, if you get into the 45 rounds or 60 rounds through a can, and then you throw it into a carpeted dump box, you're kind of at the ignition point for carpet. And dump boxes tend to start on fire, or may start on fire at that point. So that's more the concern with using suppressors than the timers. But yeah, looking for applications of them. Ultimately, would like to do a night match here, and if given our proximity to a populated area, if we want to do a night match, it would have to be suppressed.
No doubt.
So I've been playing around with cans this year, trying to establish what kind of best practices we need to do in order to hold a night match, because in the dark would not be the place to find that sort of thing out.
Right. No, I think, like I was telling Dave, I think that's something that's probably pretty prime for the plucking is getting suppressor use on board.
Well, yeah, and even in the PCCs, I think it'll get really big because everyone's trying to make a compensator for a PCC, even though there's no pressure there to drive one. But I think a really good
Can will help
really good
alleviate.
suppressor might do the same thing. And we might, if you shoot a supersonic load, might still get a crack that will get picked up
Right.
by a timer.
So we're getting into this. We're seeing a new flavor of guns out here. We're getting box-fed magazine.
Tank brakes,
It's all sorts of wild stuff.
monstrous banana clips.
So we are Aiden versus Matthew on this bout. Aiden Kutrum and Matthew Plowman. Open has always been a very interesting class for me as a spectator, because a lot of times it seems like it's a reliability threshold that separates the men from the boys in a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
The box mag shotguns are fairly proprietary in the U.S. anyways, and they've certainly made a lot of advancements over the past couple of years. And
I'm always fascinated by how many guys actually win open with very, shall we say, primitive or
modest
simplistic
equipment.
You look at what Jerry shoots; it's not super exotic, but he kind of tortoises right there into first place a lot.
To state that Jerry tortoises is an interesting one. Here we go. Off the blocks, both shooting optic pistols, like short work in the pistol array. Rifle rack presenting a bit of a struggle for most shooters.
Struggle bus on the rifle going here. Inch and ahead. Matthew Plowman first to the shotgun array. And decisively finishes it off.
Just saw 2 open shotguns work for 16 rounds. That's a new record.
Insert my surprised face.
Oh, my mic's hot.
Oh, no. Did I say that out loud?
It worked. I was going with it. So now these guys are going to face off against legendary shooter Josh Froelich.
A man who definitely puts his work in.
He does.
This is true.
Check him out online, and he's always got helpful tips and training ideas for you. He's a regular dude, shoots in his backyard, shoots a lot. I think he
Vanderloop's going to go up against Matt, isn't it?
I think he just got into a progressive load technique on his reloading bench, and I've been following that. It's fun to watch him and load and shoot. He's a PCC wizard. He's one of those guys that's fueling my interest in that class. Runs 2 dots on his gun.
Innovated running the 2 dots.
Indeed. Why not 3?
That was his idea. We
That's
often
what I wanna
ask him
know.
that.
Yeah, because
He
there's
said
like a
the
whole
dots touched him. And
Rumor is he has a dot in his stock and one in the grip.
It's actually a 4-dot setup. Little known fact.
If you've seen the movie Predator, it emits a 3-beam laser. Josh is going for something similar there. Of course, there's
Josh giving us the hell
Actually-
yeah fist pump.
words cannot describe how much load development Josh has done on PCC specific ammo. Last winter, they went crazy with powders and lengths and bullet weights. And do you shoot the major ammo? Do you shoot the super soft minor ammo? They did all of it. So I think, probably I would consider him a pioneer in that regard too, because what they initially found was kind of against what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are trying to load these super soft powder puff PCC loads, and they're kind of going the other way. That's got to have a little zip on it before they.
we see similar application in open pistols. Open pistols shoot very soft and very quickly, but most of the time they're running, major threshold and beyond. The guys shooting 9 major out there are certainly running very high pressure rounds.
Well, the comp doesn't really work very well
Right.
if you got those little
Correct.
wimpy loads.
You got to fuel it.
And then at some point, once you start driving the comp, you have on the blowback guns, you have so much reciprocating mass that it kind of negates what the comp was doing in the first place. So it is kind of a fine balance between.
Question is, how long do we see a gas-operated PCC? Is it a
Yesterday.
feasibility?
Yeah, SIG MPX, right?
I believe it's been tried. Do you consider the MPX
we
a gas
got
operated?
one of the guys from JP Rifles smiling coyly, and then he just turned away. So interesting.
They try to pretend like they haven't tried it, but we know they have. It didn't work though, which means that's a really good story. That is sealed with a NDA agreement.
All right, we got Kurt Vanderloop up against Matthew Plowman here.
They also try to pretend they haven't done one in 357 SIG, but we know that's not true also.
9x25 Dylan. I'd like to see a resurgence of that great cartridge. James Leffler shaking
Quality
his head
control
with
department
fury.
instantly shooting that one down.
Come on. Everybody loves a good 10 millimeter. Why not a 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter?
They're off with the pistols here.
Those 8x8s look huge, but you gotta give those things some respect.
Especially under pressure.
Both down on their rifle here. Matthew taking a 3-plate lead.
Both of them making sure that the splatter plate doesn't feel left out.
Box fed magazine. Oh, and it's coming down to.
Oh,
Wow, that was close.
Almost checked out early.
Matthew had a looks
You
like a
gotta finish your
rifle or shotgun
vegetables before you eat
malfunction there.
dessert there.
Kurt finished up the array and takes that one.
Yeah, that PCC, that is a fascinating creature.
Yeah, I got to stamp in on one of those too. If anyone at the ATF is listening, you could go ahead and Just push that Form 4 right to the front of the list.
The question is, would you put another $100 on the table if they could expedite that service? It'd be like getting a passport.
I would. It's bribing a federal official, but, it's first time for everything.
Is it only a crime if they accept?
I know not. I would defer to one of our fine professionals in law enforcement here in the crowd.
Okay.
Of course, if it is illegal, it's allegedly something that I would never do.
I think that it should be like getting a passport. When you get your forms in and your stamps in, if you want expedited service, you pay an additional fee.
Right.
And I would think that...
Or just get rid of the bullshit to begin with.
Yeah, we could just do that Hearing Protection Act, and it would just expedite the whole thing.
Put them on the shelf at Walmart.
No, Walmart would ruin suppressors.
They would, yeah. Made out of polymer after long.
Yeah.
We've just seen
of course, Daniel Defense decided to 3D print one, so maybe it's not that far off.
Well, interestingly enough, our friends at Glock actually have a suppressor, a slip-over suppressor that's offered for the European, South American, South African markets. It's a disposable suppressor that's designed around the Model 21. It has been in production for decades, actually, as a tool for Special Forces operators, beach stormers, if you will.
We got a bonus target out on the course now.
In the shape of a DJI Phantom drone. So the competitors will have to engage this
is the final round, and they will be shooting offhand in the unlimited division.
Yeah, just in time for Josh Freilich and Kurt Vanderloop to face off here.
This is Mr. Vanderloop's chance to square off against the practical champion. He needs to dethrone Mr. Freilich.
Anybody's game at this point. Both have guns that have red on them, which is interesting. Why the color red.
Josh, of course, woke up early this morning and threw 10,000 rounds downrange before coming down to the match today.
Probably, because he knew he was only going to get one shot at this. And it must be utter perfection. The only shooter at the match who the double elimination will not apply to.
Maybe we'll get him in a game of rock, paper, scissors later.
Yeah. He probably dry fires that too.
Does he put it on Instagram though?
Hey Dave, I got a
If he
It doesn't
hashtags
happen on the gram, it
Hyperfire,
doesn't happen.
it'll be good for the contest. So
Does mine even anything, Dave?
There's a wasp that is in the proximity of the booth here, and Dave is... I'll throw my body in front of it.
Thanks, buddy. They've been here all day, dodging bees and wasps and other bitey things.
Not so much of a bite from the wasp, more of a
Stab.
posterior administration
but
of pain.
it makes Dave look like a sad panda either way.
Yeah, Carl's telling me one more and I'm going in the ground.
I don't like to hear that kind of thing. Does anybody have an EpiPen just in case?
There's a lot of children
we can only
around.
do
I feel
one
like I could
memorial
find
match
one.
a year, so let's not do
I've
that.
got a Ruben's wife raises her hand. She has an EpiPen on hand. It's good to see you, Amy.
Sweet. Stick close.
Fingers on the trigger.
All right, here we go.
Unlimited Open Champion of the world off.
Josh is
That Atlas
certainly
pistol
getting his
making
money
quick
worth.
work. The 8x8.
Offhand work so far pretty darn good on the rifle. Only a couple of makeup shots.
Josh onto the shotgun here. Kurt's got 2 plates down on the rifle rack.
That JP rifle sounded entirely too loud to be a PCC.
So he didn't even shoot PCC?
Yeah.
Jeez. Weak sauce. Kurt's calling it
I
here.
want my money back.
Freilich takes that one.
Freilich wins.
So with the open unlimited division that was set up for this match, the competitor had the option to engage, I think, all of the rifle targets with the PCC if wanted,
Correct. All the rifle targets, all the paper targets.
but also could reserve the use of the traditional rifle
Yes.
for that as well. So
Yes.
that's how Josh was able to run his 223 or 5.56 in this. It was his choice.
I tend to like the game of 3-gun if we think of it as the the instruments as a set of golf clubs, and you get to choose the club to hit the target, whichever one you'd like to use for that particular stage. And so adding the PCC, I thought would add a unique element to the match. It's just unfortunate nobody tried it, so we'll have to.
It's a new thing. Yeah,
we'll maybe get it out there a little bit earlier next year and see if some people want to bite. It was very last minute.
Last year had that option too.
What's that?
Hard as Hell had that option last year as well. There was you could substitute a PCC for your rifle, and on that shoot house stage actually ended up being pretty advantageous.
Are you running here?
I think. What?
So
Supposed to be running here?
Supposed to be?
face off between Nick Hardig and Nathan Payne on the next
Bit of a
match.
border wars matchup.
Indeed. Sodak versus Minnesota.
Nathan getting shooed off by his teammate Jake for some air gunning. No respect. No respect at all.
You guys are calling this like golf.
Again, the story of Jake Latola, former golfer.
He is a former golfer. Actually found his way to 3-gun because of a golf injury.
Didn't know anybody could actually get injured in golf. But
Yeah. Decided he couldn't play golf at the level he wanted to anymore, so woke up one day and decided that 3-gun was what he would be awesome at.
did he win all the golf?
You know, he's very vague about that. I've never asked him directly.
I can honestly say I never heard of Tiger Woods until Jake Latola started shooting 3-gun.
It's fun to see how many buttons we have to push before he will turn around and make eye contact.
All of the buttons.
We're running out of them, man.
Hardig over in his shooting box, ready to go, just staring at the ground. Good focus, tense. So he looks back.
Hardig known for always having the earbuds in. I wonder what his pre-shoot-off soundtrack is.
If I could guess, it's Chevelle and Slayer.
Chevelle and Slayer. That's an interesting mix.
Beyonce, he says.
I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Nope. It was a good groove there, good jam. Little single ladies going on. That was Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I mean, I don't know.
I used to shoot trap with a guy named Dusty, and he was our best trap shooter. So Dusty Bounty, if you're out there listening, brother, this one's for you. He would throw in his earbuds before every round of trap, and he would listen to Tool's Lateralis album exclusively, and the entirety of the night he would play Lateralis while shooting trap. And I think he had a 24.5 average when we were in high school, so he was an unbelievable trap shooter. Shot a modified choked 870.
Modified choke
Yep.
870.
He was beating up dudes with Brownings and
Yeah.
Berettas
Just shot
and things
trap
like that.
angry, huh?
Just a regular guy.
You just hate crush those clays,
He did.
and you'll get a 25, huh?
He did. It's a very small dog walking around out there now too.
That's Dakota. Oh, the dog. Okay.
Oh, pocket squirrel. Look at that.
So we're repainting some targets here.
If you can't wrestle with it, it's not a dog.
I thought Scottish dogs would be bigger.
Well, I mean, there's the don't Shetland ponies hail from Scotland? They're a small breed. Maybe things are smaller on the island.
They have to be.
It's a very cute dog, anyway, for those trying to paint a picture that are only listening. It's small. It's brown.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nathan isn't up at all. It's been
No, it's this whole time.
Ah, he's just a caddy, man.
Oh, I thought Nathan was up and that Jake was shooing him out of the way to get his air gunning in. That would have been far more entertaining.
That's what I thought last time as well. They did the exact same thing.
The intensity between these two competitors is very tangible. They're both in the zone.
This should be a good one. This is going to be
We're on a
exciting.
collision course with an explosion here, I think.
About to go off with the rails on the crazy train with
Yeah.
Jake Latola.
Yeah, this one could really go either way. Both these guys formerly on the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series.
Yeah.
Both heavy favorites to win any of the local stuff up here in the Midwest, well, as well as any major that they show up to.
Both blonde.
Yep. Jake, not so much a fan of Beyonce as he is Garth Brooks. He's a country boy through and through.
Pacing like a tiger.
Smart Money says he turned his earmuffs off because he knew we would be talking about him.
All right, they
More
are
music,
in the
less
box.
RO. All right, here we go.
Square
Squared
it up.
off. Don't blink.
Both evenly
neck and
matched.
neck
into
Wow.
the
rifle.
Right
Close.
onto the rifle. So far, it's plate for plate.
Jake's off the rifle
Pretty much
first and
plate
onto
for
the
plate.
shotgun.
It's close though.
Man, Jake takes
And that
one.
was
Yeah.
a matchup.
Nick-
Man, that
pretty
was
cool.
close.
That was
Nick just
great
half a
matchup.
step behind him, a little slop on the shotgun, and it was just enough.
great matchup. Maybe now we'll get a smile out of Jake.
Not a chance.
What a great round, though. That was pretty cool. That happened faster than I could think I could get through the pistol array myself.
It's bouts like that that make me want to do best 2 out of 3.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like that. That's where that dry firing the rock, paper, scissors comes into
Right.
serious play.
Right, yes. I mean, what is your go-to on the rock, paper, scissors?
You know, it's tough. I think it's player to player. I think you've got definitely a lot of people that are they're held fast on scissors, and I don't know why. But
So here...
But rock crushes scissors.
it
though.
does. Paul
Next.
Wolmuth versus
Ruben Alexson.
it's going to be a shootout.
JP versus Vortex.
This is
versus
a tough
West.
one. Paul's got that bright colored mag pouch that we know carried him through that last roundup, and Ruben's got that exceptional beard. So this is anybody's game at this point.
Paul's mag pouch matches
Made like a
shoes.
lion.
Ruben is a buff in Viking history, and that is no joke. That is no joke. His father is
Are we still in quarterfinals or are we in semis?
nobody knows.
I got nothing.
Let's
Can you
get
go
to,
figure that out?
let's get to the shooting match. It doesn't even matter at this point.
It actually does.
Well,
Actually,
we'll agree to disagree.
I think
They
the
have
train
to-
has left the station at this point to change it. So
It's supported or unsupported rifle. That's the question.
Oh.
Wow, Paul off the pistol first.
Paul shoots a very clean rifle game, but Ruben is getting him down quickly. And
Oh man, Ruben came up and still has one plate left. It's going
rough
to
run on the rifle.
Paul really put it on there.
Yeah, he did. Paul
I mean,
had a
that-
smoke and run on
that
pistol,
was-
smoke and run on rifle, and finished it up on shotgun.
No doubt, though. too,
Very
some
well
of the-
deserved victory there.
Some of the hardest hitters out here today. Both shooters definitely big players. That was a well paired match there.
Ryan, how come we didn't get you out here shooting today?
Well, that's a good question, and it's one I get asked a lot. And the simple answer is my gear hasn't been ready since 2014. And if you ask Adam, he can attest to that. You know, I would love to say I don't have a lot of time, but I do a lot of other stuff that I probably could reallocate time for. But it's been a busy schedule. It's been a busy life. A lot of it's in disarray. If I knew where all my mag pouches were, I'd probably say I'd do it. But now I'm down to about 1 or 2 matches a year. I usually go shoot the pandemic match in Nebraska. That's one you ought to get down to. It's not terribly far from where you're at.
Yeah,
The
like to shoot that
zombie match, as they call it. I think it's one of the most fun circus matches you can shoot. Lots of props and wild things. And then I come shoot some of the Minnesota 3-gun group stuff or this match. I reserve my second match slot for this or that. But
You shot Trigun, right?
I did. Yep. Well, yeah. I mean, I shot in it. Competition really wasn't there for me. I shot my first go-around at limited. I'm not saying I was gunning for Adam, but I was gunning for Adam, and
All the cool kids are doing it, so.
he ate my lunch. So we got Trevor Armbruster v. Nathan Payne, another law enforcement matchup here. Another battle of 2011 v. Glock, and Trevor answered the question last round that it was in fact Glock, the better pistol. So let's see if that holds true.
All right, here they are squaring up.
It looks like Nathan's gotten into the rifle before Trevor. 4 or 5 point lead on him.
Nathan's off the rifle and onto the shotgun here.
Just finishing his final stop plate before Trevor can get his rifle put away. That bout goes to Nathan Payne.
Yep, Trevor chooses not to finish the array.
Not to digress, but I think I just saw a gunner walk by with moonshine.
I saw that too. I was like, that could be apple juice. That could be moonshine. I don't want to call him out in public, so I'm glad you did.
Generally, if it's a mason jar
And it's a three-gun
it looks
match?
like apple juice, it's probably apple juice. It appears Gunner is serving this out of a plastic bag.
Nothing but the best for our shooters. Consolation prize is 200 proof.
I think we have the A, the T, and the F present here.
Yes.
Not by anyone who's still participating.
This has
though.
become the common cup. I have seen no less than 14 individuals take a pull off of.
Guys, this is how you get mono, okay?
Yes. Kissing disease.
That happened at Rockcastle Pro-Am last year. There's like a massive amount of crud going around from people sharing moonshine. I think the moonshine would kill it.
I think it only amplifies it, makes it stronger.
It's like the radioactive waste making the Ninja Turtles.
Yes. Speaking of ninjas, we have Andre De Sautel versus Dustin Felix in this next bout. Again, De Sautel hailing from Spain. Dustin from...
Or North Dakota. I mean, it's kind of the same.
I believe the rain falls on the plains of both. Yeah, I have to Wikipedia that, but... This is also going to be quite an intense matchup. De Sautel, a pistol
Masterclass
Is he
USPSA shooter,
master
yes.
class? It shoots a Glock, a man of my own.
You let him be on that pistol, you're in trouble.
Man with
If you make
my
him
own.
put it down, it's anybody's game. Another JP employee.
Here they are squaring up. Dustin with the first shot off.
Boy, that pistol game is tight.
Yep.
They're both into rifles right about next to each other. Dustin cleaning up a little bit quicker than Andre.
Dustin again throwing tons of rounds downrange.
2 shells ahead, and Andre's had a couple of shot shell missteps, and Dustin takes it.
Yeah, Dustin by one missed plate and a stop plate. Nice run there. Man, these are getting exciting. Nice and close.
Mark has literally just reached up and grabbed a drone out of the sky. Quite impressive.
Not even his. He's running away with it. Somebody stop that man.
Hey, you need a license for those.
I went into wartime fuel reserves on that one.
Made a World War II reference. That's pretty good.
Yeah, once again, the speakers only work one way. It's not an intercom, people.
Looks like some more ominous weather coming in on us, gentlemen.
A little more rain coming. I'm going to grab the camera.
I think we've gotten about 11 to 12 inches of rain this weekend. Yesterday sure was a soaker. My shoes, supposedly waterproof, not.
As
In
it were.
fact, So we had a roaring fire last night and dried that out. Took all 4 hours of that fire to get me unwaterlogged.
I wasn't there for the conclusion of the fire, but did you guys have like a coal walking incident where you like reach and grab the logs out of the ring?
Yes.
Or did you really burn them down to nothing?
No, we tried to see who could hold on to the burning log the longest, and that title went to
Did
Cody.
Did Mr. Ken Anderson win that one? Or?
Ken retired early. He
did.
figured he had to play guns in the morning, so he left early, and he and Shane retreated back to the American of Forest Lake. So what, Adam, not that we've even concluded today, but what do you think next year's match is going to bring us? Any changes off the bat you want to make? Anything you want to incorporate? Or is that secret sauce and we can't talk about it yet?
Well, a lot of changes coming for me personally next year. Changing jobs, going down to getting called home to Vortex Optics. So
that's a big deal.
I'm being
Hey guys,
asked a match director question here.
And it is raining hard again.
And it was a question that didn't need to get answered because it was in the shooter's brief.
Yeah, I believe it was in the match video, the shooter's brief.
Anyway, so back
Twice
to
interruption of
what
the
you were saying.
podcast. Yes.
You're making a transition.
Yep. So yes, I have taken a position at Vortex, but don't really want to talk about it too much because I haven't actually started there yet. But
It's like talking about a new relationship. It might go bad.
I know, right? Like
You don't wanna
I know what
jinx
my
it.
job title is, but that's about it. The rest of it was salesmanship on their part and my part, so who knows where the truth lies. But I plan for the match to continue on here at Forest Lake next year. Always wanted to grow. We pushed out registrations to about 120 slots this year, and at one time it was sold out, but we had a few people back out at the last minute. So would like to either maintain or increase the number of attendees that we have. It's to accommodate more shooters, we would have to change the format in some way. We either have to go to AM, PM on the Saturday schedule, which, man, we could probably do with the way that yesterday ran, or go into a 3-day format or something like that. It's hard to say exactly, but the idea was always to make it a major match. I consider it a major match. Some people still consider it a regional, but I want to make it a major event and draw people. We drew people from, I think we drew people from 8 states this year.
Mm-hmm. And the TFD crowd, I mean, we should kind of get into that too. I mean, one of the things behind the match is that it's a not-for-profit match, and all match proceeds go to our good friend Jeff's favorite organization, Task Force Dagger, a very, very, very cool group of guys that I've had the great pleasure of getting to hang out with in part, or actually in whole because of this match, and very excited to know that we can help them continue on their adventures and legacy with the proceeds from this match, and certainly others around the country that do in honor of Jeff. And they've come up every year now and played guns with us, and that's really cool to get to hang out with members of the SOF community like that. And, definitely makes this a really, really, really interesting match if you want to shoot with some real gunslingers. So, like I said, all match proceeds are going to TFD. As a donation, and that's a really cool thing. I've been super excited to be a part of that now this whole time. So
Yeah, it is a really cool thing, and it's cool to have representatives from Task Force Dagger out here shooting the match with us, and see those guys all over the country too.
oh yeah, yep, they've
Kentucky,
got
Texas, Minnesota.
they've got a presence, and it's very welcomed. It's a really cool thing to get to hang out with guys like that. So
It seems like they're often chosen as a beneficiary of charity matches.
as they should be. I think what TFD does is a really, really cool thing, and certainly very selfless, giving back to those guys that have given all and more, life and limb, and TFD helps a lot of guys get back on their feet. A lot of families help, or it helps a lot of families get into the recovery mode after crisis like that. But
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of veteran-oriented charities these days. I would say we kind of latched on to TFD. They were at Blue Ridge one year, the year that Jeff actually died, and a gentleman whose name escapes me at the moment was elected to volunteer to stand up and give the song and dance at the prize table that year, and he had a very inspirational story that kind of resonated with me. And so when all of this happened, and the family didn't need the proceeds from the match, we were going to give it to a charity. We elected to give it to Task Force Dagger because that was the one that I threw out. I was like, well, how about Task Force Dagger? And everybody agreed. And since then, and everyone I've encountered in the organization to date, they're all very inspirational people. They're all heroes in true senses of the term, and they're all extremely humble about it. So it's hard to really get their stories out of them. But having never worn a uniform myself, I find their contributions to the greater good, or the Commonwealth of the United States, to be very inspirational. They feel very strongly about coming up here to thank us, but I always say they did the hard stuff. I just put on a match. So,
do you recall the story that touched you, or what the general theme was?
I don't. I'm kind of Chuck Erie.
Chuck Erie.
Chuck Erie is the name of the man I'm thinking of, and he had a mic thrust in his face, and he kind of shrugged and was like, all right, well, I'll talk. And I cannot put my finger on a cogent summary of the story, but he just got into some of the struggles that those guys have as they come back, and coupled with seeing them shoot the match. That was the first time I haven't been exposed to very many wounded veterans, so to see guys with no legs running around shooting a 3-gun match, seeing a guy with a wheelchair that has triangle tracks on it shooting a 3-gun match, in an era where the millennials are kind of weak. Not well versed or not don't handle adversity well. To see these guys who have every right to just sit back and pity themselves, being the exact opposite. Just the 1-2 punch of that was just what inspired me to select them as a charity.
No doubt.
I like it.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there too. We've got a culture clash going on, and it really is a fascinating thing, isn't it? To see that. But
yeah, I mean, but to see those guys. I mean, so initially Task Force Dagger started out. The name comes from the initial task force that went in of special forces that went into Afghanistan when the war first started, and they started off specializing in special forces, the Army side, and now they've kind of encompassed all of SOCOM. But to see the work that they're doing with those guys who gave so much is just. I mean, what can you say that hasn't already been said?
Right.
It's kind of beyond words for me.
Well, Adam, the task of stage design is always a fun one. So you gave me a little behind the scenes on some of the stuff that you were working on. And how did you come up with the stages for this year's Jeff Kirkwold Memorial Match?
Stage design is tough because I volunteer to put on way too many matches in a season, so I get pretty drained on inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
The most terrifying thing for me in the world is an empty bay. Like, here, build something, funny man. It's like, make me laugh. And so once I have something to go off of, I can usually get the creativity flowing. But to start with, usually I convinced Three Gun Nation to unlock the archives and let me see some of their old Pro Series stages.
Mm-hmm.
So 2.5 of the stages are inspired by old Pro Series stages from the Tulsa and St. Augustine days. So we kind of lay those, the skeleton of those wall setups out, and then kind of, start laying targets out, and then you gotta kind of call some audibles to make it fit in your space. The other two stages over on the other part of the facility just kind of organically came up with those. Wanted to do multi-bay stages, and kind of the inspiration was to use the dividing wall of the berm as a vision barricade or a vision barrier, because by this time in the summer we were very tired of pounding T-posts. So an excavator made this big wall for us. We figured we'd do that instead of pounding more T-posts, and the rest kind of fell into place from there. A couple of strategic placement of walls and barrels, and then you have something that's a little bit of a puzzle. And then always want to throw aerials, because the circus targets always were what I liked in 3-gun. So I not only do we do aerials, but I use the minis.
Yeah,
the Sporting Clays minis.
I like the minis because they go really high.
Yeah, everyone whines that they're so small, but they fly so much longer.
You just got a thumb down from a couple people, so I know people who suck at shotgun over there.
And there's no question if you hit them or not. If you hit, you either crush them or you didn't get them, because they're a lot harder than a big clay is, and they fly more consistently. And then, of course, we had to get out the rabbit machine again. I have done the rabbit before, but it's been on a 2-year hiatus. We dug it out of the weeds, sprayed WD-30 all over it. WD-40, one of those.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, and then...
I've never seen a rabbit in a 3-gun match. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was fast.
Also cool.
I got it when we were testing it out, but I didn't get it in the match, so... And then we scored it like a target over 100 yards, so you actually had to try for it.
Yeah, that was a good stiff penalty. All right, so we got our first matchup. What is this, the quarterfinals?
This is the semifinals, and they are shooting offhand now.
Paul Wolmuth v. Jake Latola.
Yes.
And they're off. Almost shot for shot through the pistol. Offhand rifle now. Both making good hits. Looks like they're trading leads here. Paul's off the rifle first and onto his shotgun. Jake coming up quick.
Jake coming from behind.
Oh! Takes that one.
That was a close one.
That was as close as they can get.
Exactly. Yeah, Paul takes that one, and it moves on.
What an intense matchup.
And as Lance Dingler says, the rifle decides the match. The guy who got off the plate rack first was the decisive winner. Well, no, was not the decisive winner, but was the winner there. Jake was starting to come from behind, just couldn't get those last couple splits fast enough. Paul's been having a great season though, so it's good to see him advance into the shoot-off.
And again, throughout all this, we've got to ask. He's got that fluorescent mag pouch, and I'm not trying to latch on to one aspect of success here, but I've seen that fluorescent mag pouch.
I'm on WeberTactical.com under the table here, and I am adding one of those to cart as we speak.
Do you think you can get it in that color green? That's like Articat green.
Well, his name's Adam and my name's Adam, so we have kind of this Adam bond.
It's like Kawasaki green.
An Adam bond.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
I know, right? And so we understand each other. That check's in the mail, Weber. Just go ahead and send it.
Watching Josh Freilich take a coat off. Is he getting in preparation of something here? What is on the horizon?
Something's going to happen, that's for sure.
Here's another monstrous pairing. Dustin Felix v. Nathan Payne. These guys are literal titans. Literally. Dustin shooting with gloves in his back pocket.
Been doing it the whole time, like a gardener.
Is it a superstition?
His carbon fiber on his handguard matches his jersey. It's very color coordinated.
You know, I found a lot of 3-gun is looking good.
You know, it really does work.
And there's and there's a couple different ways you do this. You either look good with a color coordinating option between your rifle, your shoes, and your socks, or you shoot in blue jeans.
Yes.
I'm reminded of Eric Miller, who, if anybody knows Eric, knows that he shoots in a Hanes beefy tee, blue jeans, and a boonie hat, and a mustache.
Well, obviously.
And wins.
You got to have facial hair to have any sort of future.
All right, the last little quirks before we set off here, and they're crouched and ready to rock.
Nathan really taking over.
Nathan off the pistol first, goes to pick up his rifle. Nathan had a little trouble sitting on the rifle, but he's off first and on the shotgun.
It's on cruise control now.
Yep, Nathan off the shotgun first, and
Oh,
Felix attempted
tried to Sazen down the stop plate, but
saws him down the stop plate being
Saz 41 was crushed by Jake Latola last year, and in an effort to die gracefully, he hip shot the stop plate with his shotgun and hit it in one shot.
shooter we're missing at today's event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saz 41 is patrolling the mean streets of New Hope as we speak.
keeping us safe.
The only man I know that's ever stitched his own, or well, I guess he didn't stitch his own gun wound, but
I don't think he wants us to tell that story.
well, it could be.
All right,
I'm sure
Nathan
he doesn't
Bain
care,
moves
but
on.
the owners of that range certainly don't want
Shall
us to tell
remain
that
nameless.
story.
A man's man, though, no doubt.
Yes.
No
Yes.
doubt.
Sorely missed.
So these 8x8 plates are getting a lot of rounds thrown at them before we're making contact here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the jitters, or people not respecting them because they look huge, or what? What's going on?
I think it's nerves. If you look at like Jake's last run, all of his hits were low. So he was either low or in the center. So I think people are just crushing the trigger, trying, it's just the first of 3 guns you got to get through. So I think it's just nerves. I mean, that's what's happened to me. I didn't get through the pistol fast enough. That kind of sets the tone, because when the next guy gets to the next gun and you can hear him shooting the next gun, you know you're behind, and you can't help but have it affect you.
Connor and someone else was shooting first. Ryan Carlson.
Connor Spieth and Ryan Carlson are the final second chance.
And they're ready to go?
I don't know.
Yeah, ready to go.
You know, the 8x8
We have
plate is actually a pretty big plate for the Minnesota 3-gun crowd.
Yeah.
We had 4x4s for a long time there that showed up at matches, and those were some god-awful things. Remember those?
yes.
Man, Adam and I watched a shoot-off in Texas at the Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun match, and they had the smallest pistol plates for the shoot-off, and it ended up being the slowest damn shoot-off I have ever seen.
True,
It's like watching turtles race.
Yeah.
We have out of sight, out of mind this whole time. We've been doing the second chance bracket for everyone who gets knocked out in the first round.
Oh.
You got to make sure those folks get their trigger time too, because they came for a good time, and it's no fun to get crushed right away in the morning. So we have summoned them over from their dark corner of the range, and the finalists of the second chance qualifier are getting ready to square off right now.
Very cool.
I believe
And
we
who do we
have
have?
one Ryan Carlson and one Connor Spieth.
Excellent.
I don't think anyone told Paul.
Yeah. Paul's getting ready over there.
It's about to be embarrassed. It's cool, Paul. It's all right.
Hey, take 5, Paul.
Yeah, take a break, buddy.
Yeah, you earned
Have a
it.
Coke and a smile.
Have a Coke and a smile. Hungry?
Adam, like myself, is a cherry Coke man. We
Yes.
both fancy a good cherry cola.
And bourbon.
I just keep those things coming, man.
All right, so got a little bottleneck here. Everybody's staring at the dudes not getting ready. Don't let it affect your game, though.
we had another interesting
But
discussion
seriously, we're
about
waiting for you.
gear yesterday, and one thing that came up was compensators, because that is an always debatable topic on the,
yes.
on the
And
three-gun course.
very hard to measure,
Yes.
so everyone feels like they have the answer.
So if anybody out there's listening that wants to do the definitive test for the muzzle device, I encourage you. I've been waiting for this for years, not being very smart, having gone to public school and being barely able to count. I'm not the likely candidate to conduct such a test. But
There's a couple that have been done with pressure transducers and stuff like that, but nothing like three-gun specific, but it's all comp things.
The legendary Patrick Kelly did a pretty darn good test a couple years back with a rifle. And so we're going to see another one of those come back. I'd like to get the final hearsay. A lot of comps that have been on the market for a long time showing back up. With JP 2-port comps out here. Saw some
Yeah.
SJC Titans.
A lot of new ones, too. I mean, JP has gone to their 3-port comp now. Hyperfire's come out with the Hyper comp.
Armalite's got that 3-port comp with the tunable up, down, left, right.
Yep. PWS sent me a prototype that they're working on. So
All right, and these guys are off. Second chance bracket.
Ryan ahead by a little bit getting into the rack, but slow in the transition. Connor catching up to him. They decided to miss for a little while. Keep it interesting. Plate for Connor has caught up, slapping the splatter shield. Neck and neck into the shotgun. Connor shooting a little low. Man, Connor could have clinched it right there, but the first couple shots went right under the plate.
And that round goes
didn't
to
score the
Ryan
hit,
Carlson.
Offhand is
It's
I
the
think
great
it's-
equalizer.
It is. It's a skill I think a lot of people should probably put more time in. We take for granted that most of the offhand shots that we have in three-gun are going to be at relatively close paper or a large target or something like that. But, we don't always have a barricade or support to shoot against.
I've seen a lot of guys make up time by doing like an offhand shot at like a 200-yard BC zone where you also had the option to brace on a barricade. Just saves a ton of time if you're able to make those shots.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what the great Jerry Micklick says about prone. It takes you a long time to get there. It takes you a long time to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So the advantages of prone are known, but the disadvantage is not always so. There's a lot of guys I know who would say, "Oh, if you can go prone, go prone." It's like, well, if you got somewhere else you got to get to,
Yeah.
it takes a long time to get out of there, even if you're athletic. And let's face it, some three-gunners aren't.
So I believe now squaring off is Paul Wolmuth and Nate Payne here.
For all of the cookies, I believe.
I noticed Nate doesn't have a caddy.
Yeah, I noticed Nathan was holding Jake's guns, and Jake chooses not to help his teammate out, which is kind of odd.
Well, Jake has to reset. We take our resetting very seriously here in Minnesota. He ran down and painted the plate racks.
Yes, and literally ran. Didn't
He
do it
scores.
with
He scores more points for resetting.
A lot of athleticism in that
caddying.
young man. Again, seems unwavered by our wit and humor.
What I like about this particular matchup, neither of these guys have won before, so we are about to crown a new champion at the 5th
This
annual
one's for
Jeff
all the
Kirkwold.
marbles here.
Yes.
So what wins this match, strong jawline or the fluorescent mag pouch?
It's definitely going to be a JP rifle, I can say that.
This is exciting.
The crowd gathered is intense. Or immense. I think immense would have been a better word.
Intensely
I'm
immense.
just so
I'm curious
excited.
to see what kind of photography we get out of one Sean O'Brien. He has snapped some epic photography in the past at shoot-off, so can lightning strike twice? That's the real question.
The man is not afraid to put himself in front of a muzzle.
Photography is Comstock, so you just go ahead and shoot until you're happy, all right?
I'm
All right.
pumped. You guys pumped?
Here we go.
gonna
Here,
stand
I don't know what's
I'm
going to
gonna stand
happen.
for this one. This is exciting.
If you're at home, get up off the couch. This is going to be wild.
Blazing out. Nathan with his pistol up first.
Walnut.
First shot with Paul.
My God. They
Oh,
were
wow.
Neck and neck into the rifle.
shot.
Missing a little bit just to keep us guessing.
And they go
Nathan
comes from behind.
off the rifle first into the shotgun.
and Nathan
takes
Payne
it.
takes it.
Very cool. Congratulations to Nathan Payne, the 2017 TAC Ops winner for the Jeff Kirkwold Memorial Match.
Walmuth put up a hell of a shooting match, so that was pretty
Yes,
awesome.
well done, Paul.
It's nicely done, fellas.
And somehow the DGI fandom remained unscathed throughout all that.
Kind of disappointed.
I am as
Now,
well.
lest we forget, we have one more match to do.
This is open versus TAC.
Open versus TAC. It will be settled once and for all for like the next 10 minutes. Who will reign supreme? Nathan will gather himself, reassemble his equipment.
The DGI
Josh
fandom.
waiting in the wings, ready to pounce like a serpent.
Like a large puma. Large inked up puma.
And then after this, I believe we're going to have a few minutes before the prize table is ready. So if we want to run grudge matches, that option will be available as well.
Very cool.
I've been told some people have a grudge against me, although they haven't directly challenged me.
I'll call you out. You know who I really want to call out is Hartman.
Uh-oh.
You know, yeah. I mean, who would win in that matchup?
I don't know.
Announcer versus announcer.
I mean, Muck has experience on you, but, I mean, Dave, you are a finely tuned athletic machine.
This is true. And I've got nearly 3/4 of my vision left in my right eye.
Ooh. So the gauntlet has been thrown.
We going to do this?
Well, if somebody had bummed me some equipment and some bullets, I think I'd play guns.
Anybody have any equipment?
I
Muck?
think there's some
We got
bullets
some
out there.
equipment down there.
I'm as good once as I ever was. Some people be telling me they would hook me up. Does anybody want to bet on this horse?
The Hyperfire rifle? Oh, 1X.
Are we doing? Is that what we're going to do?
Hashtag Hyperfire.
We're going to do the hashtag Hyperfire rifles?
I'm not wearing my
Make it so, Ruben.
I'm not wearing my Go Fast shoes.
It's true. You're
you don't-
wearing some loafers of sorts.
These are Merrill Chameleons, one of my favorites.
But you
actually.
got reach on him, so
That's-
maybe you don't need the shoes.
That could be. These have a little wider toe box, which give me a little more ground contact than my Speed Cross 3s do, and on.
It is about surface
so
area.
who's getting
isn't
Muck
it?
some gear here?
Yeah, who's getting Muck some
Who's
gear?
volunteering gear from
Let's
Muck?
preload some shotguns.
They're gonna
We need a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol.
They're gonna candy stripe my mag tube. It's gonna
Three
be like
three of the guns. That's what we need.
I see people nodding heads but not moving toward their guns.
Yeah. They're like, I'll get mine, and yet they don't move.
There you go. We have someone off.
I'll
All right.
talk, no action.
I've got
got a
about
belt?
I've
Got a
got
belt
we
right
got
here?
belts.
I've got a
We got people
34
getting
inch
naked.
waist.
It's crazy.
If you've got a 34-inch waist, I'll wear your gun belt.
I got 38.
38's a little bit bigger than a 34. I would fall out of that
Adjustable.
belt.
We can do that.
We'll settle this in a little bit. Right now, the match at hand is between an open shooter and a tactical shooter.
Jake Latola and Nathan
The safe-
Payne discussing strategy over there. It looks like they've chosen to shoot pistol first, then shotgun last.
Now, on paper, I mean, unlimited is the safe money here. But at most matches across the country, the unlimited shooter is not the overall champion.
And no reloading or anything required here, so.
Right.
It's anybody's game.
It's just a man and his gun. A man and his 3 guns.
Hombre y pistola.
Again, a bout of JP v JP on the rifle side of things.
They have assembled quite a team of athletes this year.
Well, it's like we were talking with John earlier. It's that design and that business model and ethos has stood the test of time, where others have come up and made valiant attempts to dethrone these rifles as top of the game. Nobody's definitively done it yet, and maybe it's a regional thing. You know, JP's
It's definitely a regional thing here. I mean, we're not too far from
JPHQ.
from the mothership. And good people, of course. So those always attract people, the products, the people behind behind the product.
Nice handshake before they get going here. Josh Freilich and Nathan Payne crouching down, squaring off. Here we go.
I don't know what's going to happen here.
I'm excited.
And they're off.
Nathan off the gun first and up on the rifle.
On the rifle.
Josh getting his first shots off here.
Slapping that face plate. What's up?
Plate for plate.
Plate
Now
for
it's
plate.
completely even.
Nathan
still on
first
the
into the
rifle.
shotgun. Josh is in trouble.
And
Josh almost made it up on the
way
shotgun.
down. That was
Holy
as close
cow.
as it gets.
Grand champion of the world, Nathan Payne.
Emperor of the field.
I wonder if this means that Josh will hang up his pistols with scopes
Yeah.
and shoot limited now.
Looks like sometimes shoot open, sometimes shoot practical.
Interesting. That was close.
That was a good matchup. That was pretty cool. It was exciting.
That was good.
The DJI Phantom is buzzing the cockpit up here.
Aw, yeah.
Well, that was a heck of a shoot-off.
It was a heck of a shoot off.
Their plates, their stop plates touched.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, Adam, you're so immature.
It's true.
Right in the middle. It was like Lady and the Tramp.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so what do we got next, fellas?
I believe there was talk of you two.
Yeah, let's do it. So, hey, let's wrap this up. Let's say goodbye on the 3-Gun Show, and we'll go strap on some guns and see if we can get some video of this. Good time. So, Ryan Muckner, thank you so much for being here for the entire time and heckling your hometown crowd here. Adam, thank you for a great match this weekend. Thank you for all that you do for the sport, and best of wishes to you in the future. And for everyone at the 3-Gun Show and the hometown crowd here, this is Dave Hartman saying see you on the range.
See you guys.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 150 for links to all the great sponsors of this match and to sign up for the Patreon as a 3-Gun Show supporter or to purchase your very own 3-Gun Show logo tee. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Armalite. Armalite has allowed me to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles, both the 13.5 and the 18-inch, as well as their competition handguards, gas blocks, and tunable muzzle brakes. I just got a new shipment of muzzle brakes in as well, so if you need one, hit me up at dave@3gunshow.com, and I'll hook you up with a good deal. I'm back on the road now, traveling the country and bringing the good times back to you in podcast form. I will have all of this Armalite gear with me at matches for you to check out, so when you see me in a match, just ask and I'll be happy to show you. You can even shoot mine if you like. A quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.